Heuer Esports Supercup All-Stars here today, and these drivers will have a tremendous opportunity to get themselves some more points in the championship to take themselves closer towards the end of the season. My name is Paul Smith, alongside me is Sadakist as always, and Matt, Red Bull Ring. It's quite a high-speed, short track. This is going to be really intense racing.
It is. I've just landed. Luckily, Sebring is at an airport, so I was able to get out of the car, get on the plane, and here we are in Austria. But no, this is a great circuit. It's awesome. It's incredible as well. A lot of people may not know this, especially newer fans to the lovely sport that we call, our own. This track was reduced to rubble until Red Bull bought it and essentially repaved it, rebuilt it. It was doomed, and it's so good that it came back when it did, because even though it's short, it doesn't seem to have a lot of corners. It doesn't look like a complex layout. It's very cool. It's got a great amount of undulation. You've got two uphill braking points, big braking points, turn 1 and turn 3. That lets you get deep. It lets you be aggressive, and it's just got really nice flow and rhythm to it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll have a look at the track map and go through that, because of course it was the old Österreichring up until it held it last Grand Prix on the old Österreichring. I'm glad you pronounced that. 1987, but then it was redeveloped back in the mid-90s, brought back onto the Formula 1 scene and World Motorsport scene then, and you can see the track then with the elevation that we are above sea level as well, so it's quite a high up here in the Eifel Mountains. It's certainly a great challenge for these drivers.
Yeah, a huge challenge, no question about it. Like I say, it is a nice wide track. There's lots of, you can go 3 wide here very comfortably. It's got a lot of opportunity, I guess you could say, for the drivers, but it is still a challenge. That turn 3 braking point, you want to get the car as wide as you can on entry, but if you even so much as drop that inside wheel on the white line, you're going to get an X. Nim Cross, the chief steward of iRacing, was on my stream the other day, and we had a good conversation about this track as I was doing some laps around here, and it's cutthroat. It can be really difficult. You'll see the Porsche Cup cars as well. Obviously, for the All-Star race, we're going to be back in the Cayman, which I can't wait because it was awesome last week, but the Cup cars, even at turn 6, which is a long, pretty high-speed corner, you're still going to get a little bit of oversteer on power, so short shifting, balancing the throttle, getting those late apexes absolutely nailed, getting the braking point right in turn 10 so you can flick it in and hit the compression onto the front straight without hitting too much of the police, the sleeping policeman, the sausage curb, or running out too wide on the exit. They're all little things, but they make the accuracy around here that you need is massive. It makes a huge difference.
Certainly have, and we're already 4 races down. This is the 5th round at the Red Bull Ring. After this round, we'll be into the second half of the season at Circuit de Villeneuve, then head to Circuit de Barcelona. Not Circuit Barcelona, that was round number 2. Head off to Spa, then Nürburgring, then Circuit de la Sarthe before finishing off the season at Monza. But the drivers are out on the track right now of your All-Stars, and I just want to touch on a point you made about the track limits. I've been banned by our broadcast director from mentioning track limits today, so there you go.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll do it for you. Don't worry. I will do it for you. It's interesting that he would choose to ban you on, because at this track it is going to be significant today, no question about it.
I have strong opinions about the track limits, but I always do. But what's important for these drivers now?
Do we have the same? We might as well talk about this for a second while they're out there doing the open qualifying. Do you have the same opinions as I do? They're a bit too cutthroat here.
I actually think that they're inconsistent with the application, but that's just my opinion.
There you go. That's literally the exact conversation that Nim and I had. So, look, I think iRacing does a great job. I do defend the X system. It's not subjective like real life, as we see Casey Kerwin, a winner last week with us, obviously our guest driver for the 2nd week in a row, back-to-back weekends, obviously, here for the Porsche Tech Heuer Esports Supercup and the All-Star Series. I like the X system because it's cutthroat. It's not subjective. There's a sensor essentially in the game, and it knows exactly where the car is. I just think some of the ones on this track are too strict, considering the very, very slight advantage you get from it. The biggest example I can give you is if you touch the gravel on the outside of turn 4, for example, just the outside gravel, you're actually losing time already, and you get an X. And it's like, well, you don't need to give me both. I've already screwed up to be there. And then the entry in turn 3, I think, could be a little more forgiving, because if you watch any series under the sun, they open that up. But that's Anyway, that's a whole other debate. I do defend the system overall. At least it's consistent for everyone, even if it's not consistent track to track. There you go. That's a perfect example of the straddling I was talking about. As we see Maxime, she's got it perfectly right down the middle of the car. 1.5 feet further to the left, touch that white line, boom, X.
I mean, we could have an entire podcast about this, let's be honest. But anyway, let's focus on the drivers out there on track. They've got 9 minutes remaining. We've been having a look at a few of the drivers. Game Muscle seems to be out on a Saturday afternoon drive by the looks of things because he's taking it nice and easy. Or maybe he's wanting a draft off of Emily Jones. Well, he's going to have a hard time keeping up with her because she's been...
Is he sitting in a whole different position today? His wheel seems higher and closer.
Yeah, it did seem a bit higher up, yeah.
Is he trying to do the David Suzuki challenge? Dan Suzuki.
David
Suzuki is a Canadian... yeah, he's like our David Attenborough.
David Suzuki is his lesser-known second cousin. Anyway, as we go down towards turn number 1 with Quirk then, this is the man who has been challenging for the championship is Quirk. He gave us some great racing last week at Silverstone. Matt Malone as well was getting involved last week as well. It's been tremendous racing from the All-Stars all season.
Has been. It almost looks like we're in a race right now rather than qualifying. I mean, I know we've talked about the fact that we're on open qualifying in this series now, and it's a change for this year. But this is the first track we've seen them all sort of stacked and queued. And obviously there is 3 very lengthy straightaways. It essentially is 3 sides of a square with an infield sector, if you want to look at the shape of the track. And maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I think they're all being, they're playing nice. We saw Gamer Muscle getting out of the way. I think it was... Borzaza, no, it was Heike 360, excuse me, that just got out of the way as well. Even though he was in that train, he might have had a bad turn 1 and thought, I don't want to get in anyone's way. So they're playing nice at least.
Well, Casey Kerwin, as you can see, top of the standings right now, ahead of Quirk and Jardier with Emery. Heike 360 in 5th place. There's Matt Malone then behind the wheel, and we saw last week, didn't we, when he was involved in that intense battle, just how much he was focusing compared to the other drivers. He was really, really focused. Depilo here, nice little setup that he's got right in the corner of his room there as well. And this is it. You don't have to have your sim rig in the middle of a room. You can have it just nicely tucked away so you're not getting in anybody else's way. I'm sure some people with a significant other will be wanting that sim rig to be hidden away if they can help it.
Yep. That's I picked the sim rig over the significant others, so there you go. To be fair, my dog's been angry with me. I've been simming so much lately, so I can relate at least in that extent. She is basically my significant other, so.
You gotta look after Jen.
Yeah, she looks after me most of the time. But no, yeah, the last few days I've been doing some long stints, and she's just been laying on the floor behind me, looking at me like, when are you gonna let me outside?
Well, here we go then, in towards, officially, that's turn number 3. Is that officially, as you then keep on climbing uphill. It's incredible the amount of elevation change just on this venue. It's absolutely sensational. As I say, in the Styrian Mountains. Yeah.
Well, exactly that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, Styrian Mountain. It's if I could pick a track to go to also maybe do some tourism and sightseeing, this would be one of the ones on my list. I mean, look at those mountains in the background. I'm a mountain biker. If you're a skier, there's both of those things very nearby. Austria is obviously a nice country, so yeah, I mean it's in a really cool spot.
Yeah, and to be fair, I all my life I've wanted to come to this venue as well. It's just stunning. I like taking photos, and photogenically, this venue is just sensational. And even in sim, a lot of people don't realize that in sim photography is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And
man, it's so cool. Yeah. You guys told me how to use the free cam, and I've been doing some screenshots lately, and it's actually fun. Like, it's a challenge to get the lineup you want, the lighting. It's awesome.
Yeah, really working the controls of the camera and how it looks, and this venue is just perfect for in-sim photography. So if you're ever interested in that, then you do that.
Are you familiar with Sam Cobbs? who's if you don't, anyone who is listening right now, go look him up. I think his name is backwards on Instagram, so I think it's, instead of Cobbs, it's SBBOCMAS, I believe. Phenomenal motorsport photographer, does a lot with BMW and IMSA. I think he's done some stuff with Porsche as well, but does a lot of different series. And he was doing some iRacing photography during the pandemic, and honestly, it was incredibly stunning. Like, you can tell this guy just has an eye for photography, was getting lighting set up right in the servers, getting the angles, presetting the cameras, and was doing shots for teams just like it was, you know, his job during the pandemic. And it was so cool to see, actually. It really opened my eyes to it.
Yeah, Elliot Roberts is another one that has gone from the real world photography to in-sim photography as well. And he mixes the both now, even though we are out of certain restrictions in the UK here. Jadier to the top of your qualifying standings right now by 7/100ths of a second over Casey Kerwin. Casey, who, of course, made his debut in the All-Star Series last week, had an impressive debut. Is there a car that he cannot drive, is the question?
That's the crazy thing, right? Like, I was looking at, obviously, the timing screen gives us a bit of the iRating, listing. Casey Kerwin is an 8,000 iRating driver. That's road, right? That's not his iRating from oval, where he's had most of his success, or even on dirt where he's been successful. That's his road, and he doesn't even do road competitively. He does it for fun more than anything. So, yeah, he can hold his own with the best of them. He's very, very fast in sim, no question about it.
Yeah, we're into the last 3 minutes of qualifying already, and you can see these drivers out there in that queue of traffic. The slipstream isn't quite as strong with this car compared to some, but they still will be getting an effect. And right now, Matt Malone is creating a nice big gap in the air for Casey, and also for Jadier behind as well. So Matt Malone is forging a path for others to follow. Of course, with qualifying, if you're new to this series and you've never seen it before, we are in a heat racing system on iRacing for this event. So that means for qualifying, when that clock strikes 0, that is it. That is the end of qualifying. You do not get to finish your lap time here today. And Matt Malone, back end went out on him a little bit through the turns and decides that is going to be his qualifying. The others carrying on towards the end of the lap here, but they're going to have to be quick. 1.5 minutes just over is a fast lap around here. So these coming through right now, they've got one more opportunity of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll get across the line. It's like you say, it is a short lap. Sometimes those short laps are very fun. I know Bono Huis, I'll give an example, who's a very, very prominent sim driver. He likes short tracks because they become so accurate. Unlike the Nürburgring, for example, we use the extreme on the other side, where you're doing a lap for 8+ minutes, and there's so many corners that really you're looking at the whole lap time and you're saying that's good, but there's no way it was a perfect lap. With a shorter lap and lesser corners, you're hitting those corners so often that you're finding the knife's edge of the margin so quickly, and it's better for repetition to learn them. It's easier to get into a rhythm, but it also means the driving is usually way, way, way more at the finer point. So short tracks have their place, no question, and have their own value in that regard.
Certainly do. And just to, as we saw as there goes Casey just pulling over to the side there, but just to give you an idea then, the length of this venue, it's 4.3 kilometers. That's 2.6 miles is this track. So it's not exactly short, but it is still relatively short compared to some of the tracks that we're going to go to later on in the season, like Spa, like the Nürburgring, like the Circuit de la Sarthe.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, the two shortest tracks on our calendar would be this and Circuit de Villeneuve, which is next. Canada. Brazil would be close to that, perhaps, and Barcelona wouldn't be too much longer. But yeah, so we go from two short tracks to all the long ones in a row, which would be a lot of fun. And for the All-Stars, we've got one more race in Canada at Circuit de Villeneuve in these GT4 cars, and then for all the big tracks, they're going to be in the GT3, which will be pretty cool to see as well.
So that is going to be qualifying over with then for you here in the All-Stars, and we'll get ourselves ready for the sprint race and go through your starting grid here for this opening race of the day, and it is Jardier who's sharing that front row of the grid with Casey Kerwin. Emery and Matt Malone then row number 2 with Heike 360 and Borja Zaza on row number 3. Fourth row of the grid are Quirk and Dan Suzuki, Depilo and Game Muscle on row number 5 with Idrao and Fiumulsant on row number 6. And at the back of the grid, she wants a row all to herself. It is Maxime. So there we go. 13 drivers taking part today. Unfortunately, no Tony Kanaan. He's busy racing in Full Metal Racing. And also, best wishes to Rai, who has not competed today as well. Still not feeling up to racing here. So we send our best thoughts to Rai as we get ourselves ready for the start of this race here, Matt. And slipstream, it's not the strongest, as I said, but it's going to be key around this track in this race.
Absolutely, yeah, it'll still have an effect. And with the 3 straightaways, you know, if you have a half a chance, if you're within a car length or so, you will use it to your advantage. You will definitely try to get down the inside on braking, as we're just waiting for one more car to join the grid. It's on the grid, so we should be ready to go, Paul.
Yeah, so drivers will look to the starting gantry. They'll get themselves ready for this round number 5 of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup All-Stars. Away they go from the start then. Go uphill, steep uphill in towards turn number 1. Perfect start for Jardier. Casey Kerwin following him through. Matt Malone is side by side with Heike 360 then for 4th and 5th place. Everybody makes it through turn 1. That's crucial. Now it's the run uphill. Oh, where's Gamer Muscle going? Well, he's going for a bit of rallycross there across the grass. We're going to go 3 wide into turn number 3. Onto the brakes. Down the inside goes Emily Jones. Casey Kerwin, though, gets a brilliant run around the outside.
Yeah, Casey did very well there. I thought he was going to have to almost go undercut and try and get a draft down to 2, because I thought Honzik would hold that position, would actually try and switch back as well with Emily, but they fell back into line, and it gave Kerwin basically double the width, and he was able to use all of that track to get the run and get the lead, and he's going to cruise with it now as Emery sits in second, not far off as Jardier in behind. So those 3 were the 3 that were wide and made it through a very tight late apex corner, but now you've also got Matt Malone that's looking on the backside of this battle.
Yeah, he's sniffing for an opportunity there, is Matt then. Is he the pretender here in this one, or can he pull through and get to the front of the field? We saw last week just how much, I mentioned it, of how much he was focusing on his racing. Jardier, though, he's a very relaxed driver, but he can compete at a high level, can Jardier, and he really can get his shoulders out. The front 2, they're getting a little bit of a breakaway there at the front end. Casey Kerwin and Emily Jones, 1st and 2nd place, and that little bit of a gap to Jardier and Matt Malone, and the rest of them coming through. Heike 360, Borja Zaza, Quirk, Dan Suzuki, Gaming Muscle, and Depilio round out the top 10. And these drivers, nice and calm, relatively calm, opening lap here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to note something very cool that happened this week as well. Quirketize, sitting in 7th place right now. There's his lovely livery as we look at the battle with him as he tries to find a way down. Ooh, little bump at the apex. Why not? Little Morse code. That's fair. That's all fine. I'll square on the backside. It won't spin him around. It won't do anything nefarious. But he won, Paul, get this, his 1,000th official race this week on iRacing. I haven't even done a fraction of that races, registered for a fraction of that many races. He's won 1,000 now, so that's a pretty cool number for him. Good milestone, and congrats to him on that.
I've been a member of iRacing since 2012, and I don't think I've done 1,000 official races. I've mainly focused on private leagues, but my goodness, 1,000 wins, that's incredible. What Quirk has done. But it just goes to show, how much you can race on iRacing. You could get plenty of races in done in just a few hours. You want to put that in perspective?
Put that in perspective. Bill Oberlin just crossed 500 races in IMSA, and that's like a 18-year career or something. I forget what the number was. That's Kirk's won double that, and he's done it on iRacing in far less time. I mean, you're absolutely right. Porsche's hashtag never not racing. That's exactly what you can do on iRacing.
D'Apilia has dropped down the order to the back of the field. He was battling with Gamer Muscle, I noticed on the timing screen. And Thiemo Sant seems to have a good handle of the car around here, up to 10th place right now. And in fact, Gamer Muscle is dropping back on the field as well. So something's happened further back, but look to the front because Casey Kerwin is under pressure from Emery. Hopefully, Emily Jones has sorted out her gear shifter problem that she had and that she can get going and seems to have the pace here this week, although Casey Kerwin feeling the need to try and break the draft as well.
Yeah, he's not getting away. I mean, I thought when he got that runoff of turn 3 at the start, he had a good lead down the hill. This exact point of the track that we're at now, coming out of turn 4, and he might get that momentum because remember last week he couldn't get to the front. Now he's at the front. But he's not at all getting a chance to get away. I really do think, I love momentum cars for this, and everyone gets obsessed with power and speed, and I get it, it's sexy, right? You know, the faster the car, the more aero, the more aggressive it looks, the louder it is. We're all attracted to those things as racing fans, but sometimes the best racing, it comes from the other side of it, where it's a little bit slower and you have to work harder to achieve speed. You're not going to be forgiven by your mistakes due to power getting you off the corner every time you slide. So it creates an awesome train. And last week's racing in the All-Star race was the best race of the season, I think. And this week's looking awesome too.
Yeah, this is looking really promising, and it appears that we're in a little bit of a holding phase, a holding pattern at the moment. People not wanting to try and stick a nose in somewhere and upset the apple cart here, because we've seen it time and again. If you make a move when you're in the queue of cars and it doesn't pan out, you lose so much time compared to the rest that you can end up putting yourself on the back foot and almost be freight trained by the rest of this queue of traffic. So you really have to think about an overtake when you're in a drafting line like we have here for the front 8.
Well, the front 8, but not further back. We got a dangling wing mirror right now for Gamer Muscle as he is trying right now to get past, who's in front of him right now? Maxime, who started on the back row. She's up 2 spots at this point in time, so doing quite well. D'Apilia trying to recover also, but yeah, we'll see if Gamer Muscle, he was way off the track at the start. We'll see if he can do anything. Meanwhile, here's Mr. David Suzuki, the cousin of Dan Suzuki, as you've officially named it. So yeah, Dan's having a good time. He's also deep in the field today, though.
And Dan back in his sim rig after his tryout of week 1 of iRacing on the kitchen table. I don't think he's quite got that light set up correctly though, because it's pointing at the camera. Which
I think that's set for his stream most likely, because I don't think the camera we're seeing is actually part of his 6 camera setup that he runs. But yeah, not very considerate of him to blind us. Maybe he's trying to blind us so we can't see his poor driving technique right now. I will own it, Dan. Come at me on Twitter.
Matt Malone, fastest lap of the race. So he's got a bit of pace now, 4th in line in this field. You can see just this beautiful shot that we've got here from the roof of Dan Suzuki's car. Just that snake of cars. In fact, Malone's making a move. You can see further up. There we are. Looking at this now. This is Jardier and Malone. Malone's got to be careful because the outside line gets the run out of the corner. You carry the speed through the corner if you take that wide line. But Malone does have the inside for turn number 4 here. And it's a downhill braking zone. Very easy to make a mistake into this corner.
Very easy indeed. As Heike tries to get in on this battle, they get overlapped here. Going in, turn 6 is a long left-hander, and it opens up a lot on the exit. It's very easy to run out of road on it if you're too early in, so he might get a chance to sniff back at this. Oh, they did well to hold together, but there you go. Look how wide. Didn't quite touch the gravel in front, so Jardier doing well. Tap of the brakes in the middle of the corner and gets shuffed a little bit. I don't think there was contact. I think he took avoiding action, but look at the momentum this is giving Heike. Had to go to the left side because Jardier didn't give him anything else, but nearly had a run to the inside. That would have made it much, much easier.
Oh, unable to hold on to it. Heike 360 just not able to make that move stick around the outside. It has allowed the front 2 to just pull away though. And it's like I said, you might have one person make a little move here, and before you know it, you lose out to others. Quirk is dropping down the timing screen, I can see here as well. So he's had issues. He's actually back on pit road. So Quirk is out of this race. We've not even reached the halfway point of this race yet. That just shows that one little mistake, one little incident, and bye-bye your points. And Quirk, of course, fighting for the championship here in the series.
Yeah, he absolutely is. One of the people he's fighting with is Emily Jones, and she's got an overlap on Casey Kerwin. I was going to mention turn 1 for her is difficult because not a lot of draft. It's difficult to follow and get the exit right, so she's been looking at turn 3, and she's got it now, and the run to the inside, she should take the lead here, Paul.
Oh, I don't know, Kerwin. He gets the run out of the corner, gets on the power earlier around the outside. That gives you the inside for turn 6 and 7.
Emily's a nice... What a lady. That was so polite. I would have pushed him right against the outside of the curb. Not off the track, not contact, but enough that he's uncomfortable and can't quite get into the throttle and then get the run back because Casey was just able to stay in it, and fair play. I mean, that's good racing between them. It's an all-star race, but there is a championship that Emery is certainly involved in right now.
And Casey will want to win in certain ways as well. He will want to win a dirty way as they come through the final couple of corners. There's only officially 3 left-handers as we have a look at the Vodafone replay. This is Bose and Quirk. Oh, and they get into each other there. There's Dan Suzuki involved as well in all of that. Dan has carried on, but unfortunately for Quirk, he's had to take to the pits.
He did take to the pits. Obviously, he would have come out worse for wear on that one. It might have bent the steering, cut a tie rod end going wheel to wheel like that. But yeah, he is still running. So he's a minute and 15 down. That's almost a full lap, as you say. They're doing about a minute and 38 right now at race pace around this track. So Kerwin and Emily, again, though, same thing. Turn 3. Emily's figured out how to follow in turn 1, even without the vision. And she's taking advantage of this. Now, Matty Malone can play a big part in this. If he bump drafts either of them right now, if he can get in behind Emery and give her a push, this could be huge. He's going to do exactly that. Smart man. He's on the brakes. Oh, give her a bump.
He's wanting these two to duke it out. The problem is that Jardier and Heike 360 are rocking up on the scene now. They're wanting a piece of the action here. This is absolutely fantastic to see. And once again, the All-Stars giving us some tremendous action. Still, side by side for the race lead. This has been going on for 3-4 corners now. Half a lap. And still they're together. Now, Emily, if she can hold it there, she can get a great run through this right-hander. Careful not to get a corner cut penalty. And yes, Emily Jones does get to the front of the field. Casey Kerwin, though, feeling under pressure, having to go defensive.
I thought Matty Malone was about to just tap the rear end. He wanted to tuck in as tight as he could because Jardier's joined this exchange as well, and Heike 360's on this as well. So what a contest for the lead. You're absolutely right. That went on for half the lap. I thought the reason I was calling it, I don't think you can get this done in turn 1. You can brake so late up the hill in turn 1. It's hard unless you've already got an overlap down the front straight to make that move. Casey's going to try and return favor into turn 3, doing exactly what Emery did. But I thought the reason Matty Malone could have bumped Emery, just a little bump draft, give her a little bit more speed. She might have had enough overlap on the exit then that could have been done sooner, and then maybe he could have made the move on Casey as well, but he's still in this.
Casey looking to the inside, and if you're loving this action and you want to get a piece of this action, then head on over to iRacing.com. If you're a new member, you get 40% off your membership. So go along, iRacing.com, log on today. And remember, every day is a race day on iRacing. And you can get some spectacular racing like what we're seeing here today. Emily Jones then still in the lead ahead of Casey Kerwin and Matt Malone. Just half a second covering the 3 of those. Heike 360 and Bose have moved ahead of Jardier. So Jardier's had issue out there now. So drama happening throughout the field here, and Jardier, our pole sitter, is not having a good sprint race here.
No, absolutely not. Unfortunately for him, falling down the order, he was in the mix here. But like you said, these guys are so close and so competitive right now that one mistake, you get shuffled out of the order. They've spread out a little bit, to be fair, but it doesn't take much to lose out on this one. Dan Suzuki, credit to him as well, considering he was involved in that incident with Quirk and got take it all the way into the pit lane. For him to recover, still be at 6th at this point in time. Now, granted, there is quite a gap back to him. That's pretty decent, though, for points, all things considered.
Yeah, it is really, really good to see. As here's a look then at what happens at Jardier. This is at turn 4. And through the corner, get onto the gravel. As soon as you do that, big moment. And that could have easily wiped out Heuer 360.
That's a tough one as well. Great battle at the front still. It's a tough one as well because that wheel sinks into the gravel and then it kind of hops back up onto the AstroTurf. And then he runs out of not only the sand trap, but he hits the grass and he's still trying to collect it. You can either back right off the throttle and come out more smoothly, or you try and keep your foot in like that. Unfortunately, pays the price for it. So, yeah, that's a tough one. There's a lot of load on a tire that doesn't have a lot of dense material underneath of it.
Yeah, certainly you need a bit grippier surface than gravel and grass, that's for sure. But now Casey Kerwin's actually coming under pressure from Matt Malone. Rather than putting the pressure on himself, on Emily Jones, Matt Malone's actually starting to get in a little bit of a fight here and wants to try and get second place here. He's really come alive in this opening race of the day.
Absolutely, yeah. No question about it. Emery's looking phenomenal. Bit of a wide exit that time by, but with 2:15 to go. She actually cost herself. Did she get a slowdown? I think she went wide. She did. Absolutely, she did. Emery had to hit the slowdown. I thought that looked wide as we jumped to that camera angle, and that's going to put Casey Kerwin and Matt Malone past her, and Heike's going to have a sniff at this as well because Casey's gone. Matt's trying to decide who he wants to draft right now. Who can he help up the straightaway? And in fact, he might have helped them both and get caught out for it.
3 wide up towards turn number 3. Malone slots in behind into the braking zone here. And Emily Jones carrying that speed again around the outside. It's a great run if you could get it done and the driver on the inside doesn't push you wide. But that is showing what you could do. But one little mistake, one little run wide around here, and this track punishes you, and you've seen it right there to Emily Jones. So Casey Kerwin now has a 1.3 second lead over Emily Jones' second place. Heuer 360 now into 3rd place because of Matt Malone getting involved there and trying to block off one car and costing himself another place.
Yeah, Matty had a chance to be in P2 right now, and after that battle and exchange, he goes way back down the order the other way. He goes to 4th. Meanwhile, we look further back. The race for 8th is heating up as well, as Tia Masson has been in car for a while. She's, I think, got friends running Sebring today as well, one of the special events. She may even herself be jumping in later, but joining us for the All-Star race going up against Idral right now.
Thea Masson, I said this at the start of the qualifying. She seems to be feeling a bit more comfortable in this GT4, doesn't she? She seems to be a bit more on pace compared to when she was in the 992.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Obviously, these cars have ABS, a little bit less power, but sometimes it's not even about the driver age, just as much as it is about the driving style and the comfort. So she's certainly more at home in this car. And yeah, we're seeing her climb up the order more frequently now.
That race for second is heating up again into the braking zone of turn number 3. Malone looking to the inside, but Heike, you can carry that speed. We've seen it before. And Malone, just having to slot back in, and now it's coming under pressure from Borja Zazo. This is the final lap, by the way. This is just flown by as a sprint race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup All-Stars. Zazo looking to the inside, late braking into turn number 4. Malone with a very, very late reaction and a delayed defense of that position. Holds on for the time being into 6. Very few overtaking opportunities now for Zazo there. Up the front, it is Casey Kerwin, who is doing a sensational job. He's just got a couple of corners to go in this race. Emily Jones runs wide out of turn number 8, but with 2 turns to go, you've just got to keep it within the defined track limits. And so far, so good. Here's Casey. He's looking so comfortable and relaxed. Got a nice half a smile on his face. Flash of the headlights. He knows he's won, and he'll be delighted with that. Race win here in the sprint race for Casey Kerwin. Emily Jones, second place ahead of Xavier Sanchez. Heuer 360 in 3rd place. But of course, the feature race, that result is going to be completely inverted.
Absolutely, it is. Oh, we're going to see some donuts from Casey. Typical oval guy, typical American driver. No, look, congratulations to him. Good win. Obviously got gifted that back. Unfortunately, Emily Jones, a little bit of the off-track excursion. 2 laps from the end, gets the slowdown. Heike 360. That guy won in Spain on round 2, and now he's back into the podium positions here, Paul.
Yeah, it's great to see there. Matt Malone, 4th place ahead of Bolgezazo in the end. Then a bit of a gap back to Dan Suzuki. Jardier dropping down to 7th ahead of Idrel. Fia Masson, great results for her in 9th place ahead of Depilio. And then it's Maxime, 11th ahead of Gamer Muscle. And then Quirk in 13th place. And I believe we've got our race winner.
Casey Kerwin, yeah. 2nd week in the championship and now the 2nd race win. Doing donuts on the track, though. I think this is the wrong type of track for that. I'm just going to let you know.
Yeah, it was, I had to get the donuts in. You got to throw it back to the NASCAR stuff as much as you can. No, it was a great race. It was, Emily was really quick. We had some good battles there. And then, unfortunately, it was going to shape up to be a battle to the end. And she and Matt got a slowdown at the same time. And then that just kind of got me away there to the end. But,
I didn't notice Matt had one. Okay.
I believe that's what happened. I think so. But I know she got one. So unfortunately, that kind of messed up the battle to the end. But that was a lot of fun. Hopefully, we can continue that into the next one, and it'll last a little bit longer since the race is longer. But it's been fun, and hopefully go on to the next one.
Well, so last week, in your debut in the series, it was the 2nd race that you won on the reverse grid. First one didn't quite go your way. This time you win the first, you got to start dead last. How difficult is that going to be?
Yeah, it's we'll see. I don't know how much carnage there'll really be. It's not too difficult to pass because of the draft, it seems. Well, let me phrase that. You can get runs on people, but completing it's another thing. And if you mess it up, with how long the straightaways are and you have no run on the straightaway, you could go backwards. So, I think we kind of saw that at the beginning. The hairpin's really tricky. Like, that's why I kept giving Emily the bottom, because I couldn't get off the bottom well underneath her, but she started to figure it out and she got good runs off the bottom. So, it's a little tricky to pass, and it's hard to try not to lose too much time while doing it and kind of stay in the draft. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Main thing's getting through the first couple corners. You can take the boy out of NASCAR, but you can't take the NASCAR out of the boy. I think we call it inside and outside here for the hairpin. But bottom, top, whatever works for you, man. It's you're winning races. That's all that matters. Who am I to talk, right? No, look, I gotta get my digs in where I can. Good luck in the next race. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Well, there we go, Paul. As we look forward to a reverse grid, I don't underestimate these GT4s. As Emily Jones, unfortunately, you maybe kind of made a mistake that cost you that one.
Yeah, well, today I learned that you can get a slowdown at the final corner. So I managed to pick that one up. But it was a really fun race before that. I was like, I think it was really good battling between Casey and I. We started to break the field a bit, and I was like, it's all stars. No one's allowed to break the field. So I started just having a go at him every time into turn 3. And it was fun. It was a good race.
Was it difficult to follow into turn 1? Because like the draft, Casey said the same thing. It was easy to get a draft. It was hard for it to help you buy. And it's difficult to see in turn 1 on your own. And you were so close. I think like I saw lap 2, you kind of get out on the curb. Was that difficult to figure out how to nail that so you could get the run at 3?
Yeah, it's tricky to see the turn-in point when there's a car right in front. The good thing is I guess a fair few laps to kind of figure it out. So I was pretty used to it. But you've just got to kind of brake a little bit earlier and really focus on the exit, because you can't go in super hard because there's a car there, basically.
Yeah. Well, it worked. It worked out until it didn't, but that was a different story. Stay on track this time, and good luck.
Yeah, I will. Thanks, and good luck in the Sebring 12-hour that you're doing as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, we were running P3 lead lap, and we got taken out by a car 34 laps down. So you know how it goes.
Yeah,
but we're still driving, but we're several laps down now. But I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Hope you enjoy the next race.
Thank you very much. Paul, there you go. Yeah, unfortunately, if anyone's wondering, I did do qualifying and a double stint this morning in Sebring. It was going tremendously well. We were up in P3. We had the pace to match the leaders, and unfortunately got taken out. So just for some context. But this is not Sebring, Paul. This is a much smoother track.
Yes, certainly much smoother, more elevation changes as well around this track. As I said, 4.3 kilometers at 2.6 miles, 10 turns around this magnificent venue in the Styrian Mountains. And we've seen plenty of action in that first race. We've got a 27-minute second race here in the All-Stars. I mean, more of the same, please, is what I'll say.
Absolutely, yeah, I think it's phenomenal, and I think, as always, the All-Star race is so entertaining. I was just going to say it before we get into it with Casey Kerwin. Don't underestimate these GT4 cars. Don't underestimate the racing that they can create. They're so fun to watch, and I think it's going to be a great teaser for what we're going to get with the Porsche Tech Heuer Esports Supercup today as well, and hopefully we can continue to see some of the battles in that series be as competitive as they have been, because man, oh man, what a championship we've got over there.
Yeah, absolutely. That one coming up a little bit later on, 7 o'clock for the main feature of today's broadcast. Of course, if you do want to keep up to date with everything going on in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, then go on to iRacing.com/PESC, and you can keep up to date with everything going on in this, the schedule, the standings, and also how to become a driver as well in iRacing, because at the moment, new memberships have got 40% off right now, so do make sure you sign up and get yourselves into iRacing and come join us for some fun out on track. Speaking of fun out on track, we are going to get ourselves ready for the grid, for the feature race here. It is a full inversion, and look at that. Quirk pole position. Alongside him is Gamer Muscle with Maxime and Debelia in row number 2. Row 3 is Timo and Idra. Jadier with Dan Suzuki, then row number 4. The 5th row is Borja Zazo and Matt Malone. Those two have had some battles so far this season. Heike 360 and Emery rounding out row number 6. And all on his lonesome on the back row of the grid, Casey Kerwin. Well,
with the greatest hair.
With the greatest hair. I absolutely am. I am slightly jealous of his thick head of hair, but right now that's not the important thing. The important thing is the drivers looking to the starting gantry for the start of this feature race. Quirk from the front row of the grid with Gamer Muscle. Away we go for 27 minutes of action here at the Red Bull Ring. In towards turn number 1, then onto the brakes for the first time. Cold tyres, cold brakes, and there's a little bit of a contact, a concertina in turn number 1. Everybody makes it through eventually back on the track, but that's hardly ideal. There was a little bit of side-by-side contact further back. And, well, Emily Jones, she is almost, she's 12th place out of the 13. Looking forward, though. More contact going into the hairpin. My goodness. And I believe that's Timo Sant, who's getting shuffled down the pack there.
Yeah, she just got forced out, couldn't get back inside, and in the train, basically had nowhere to be in that situation. So unfortunately, she just has to let everyone get by, and then she can get in and get a rhythm. Interesting to note as well, Quirk obviously had pole position for this reverse grid. You mentioned the championship. Okay, he doesn't get a lot of points in the first, but he can redeem himself here with Emily Jones starting second to last. Obviously with Casey Kerwin, by the way, already up 4 spots. So a chance for him to maybe strike back in this race.
Absolutely. The opening lap on one of these races is almost like watching eNASCAR. You get out of your lane and you can get shuffled down the pack. Dan Suzuki is getting shuffled down the pack. Looks like he's going to... I don't know if that's just me or whether he's got a little bit of damage.
Well, I don't know what happened there. I don't know that there's a slowdown for the inside apex to the lead. 8. Well, this is exactly it, because Quirk pulled over and let Gamer Muscle go. So I don't know if he and Dan were involved in something, but that was, I need to see a replay of that.
Well, we're all 2 by 2 going into... Oh, Borja Zazo late onto the brakes. My goodness.
Wow.
Last of the late breakers manages to make up a couple of places, rubbing door handles now. They're 4 wide going up the straight. This can't possibly carry on like this. They're still at it, 4 wide. Look at this. This is absolutely crazy. Sort yourselves out, everybody. Emily Jones going up around the outside. We've seen how good the outside is out of turn number 3. She's battling with Casey Kerwin now.
Unbelievable close battle the whole way through. Honzik just sitting back going, I don't know where to be in this. Heike 360 back of the order and yet might as well be in first at the end of that exchange. He could have been 4 spots further up. Meanwhile, near the front, Dupilio a little bit too deep on the brakes, a little bit too inside, trying to exchange with Dan Suzuki. I think lost track of the braking marker, and the unfortunate victim in that one is Gamer Muscle. He gets spun, he'll get taken out. And yeah, I'm afraid that is not exactly the greatest of braking that we've seen from Dupilio.
Oh, the innocent party and all of that, and Game Muscle drops down the order. Still, Emily Jones battling it out now with Dupilio. She's trying to move her way past and trying to get with Boljazazo. Quirk, meanwhile, is checking out at the front of the field, and he is wanting to get a comfortable lead that he can then maybe hang on to for the rest of this race. A little bit of a mistake from Dupilio, and this is going to allow Emily Jones and Casey Kerwin to get a run on him across the line for the next lap. This is the start of lap number 3 of this race. Oh, a little bit of a bump into the back there was Casey. Into the back of Emily Jones, forces Jones wide. She should be okay from that though, as they head on up through turn number 2. I think we could calm down a little bit now at the start of lap number 3.
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know if I want to calm down. We still got a little bit of exchanging going on behind, some contests and questions for position. We're going to get a replay of Borja Zazo. You are absolutely right. Last of the late breakers. The Ninja. Man used to be a gentleman, but no way he's doing it gently anymore. He's taking off the bow tie. He's got the Ninja band on these days. Look at this. This is just huge. What an opportunist.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3.
That's ridiculous.
4. This Gamer Muscle half losing control. Dan Suzuki there got involved. That is just incredible.
It's like being on the highway and you come to a construction zone. Everyone merges too early and you just go, oh, I'll keep going. Bye. Thanks.
That doesn't happen over here in the UK, I can tell you now.
No, because you guys know how to drive. Over here, they don't. They merge too early. Trust me. Don't get me started. It's a thing.
Well, we have got Quirk in the lead then. It is Bolja Zazo second ahead of Emily Jones in third. Casey Kerwin 4th ahead of Matt Malone. Jardier and Dupilio, they have just swapped positions, so that is a change of position for 6th place now. I mean, Jardier, he's got pace around here. He put it on pole position. You know, you don't do that by accident. And he ended up, he's down in 6th place right now. Currently has the fastest lap of the race. So you see it pop up on screen. Well, that's a very wide line from Matt Malone there. He'll be lucky to not get a slow down penalty from that.
Yeah, there's less of a slowdown punishment on the first corner. I would assume the reason being is that the sausage curb is already quite punishing for pace in itself. I'm sure if you go way out there, obviously. Whereas the last corner with the compression, being able to get on the power earlier, and it being so smooth out there, it actually does give you quite a bit of an advantage. So I think it's not quite as aggressive with the slowdown there. But here is Idro as he heads into the hairpin, as it was referred to by Casey Kerwin, turn 3. It's near a hairpin. It's not quite 180 degrees, but it's quite a sharp corner. And it's so important to get a good exit out of that corner because it's downhill run to turn 4, but it's also such an overtaking opportunity. If you lose momentum at all here, Paul, you're sitting duck.
Yeah, I know that from racing around here a few weeks ago in a private league that iRacing. And here we are then looking at Dan Suzuki and Heike 360. Heike, as he mentioned, he won at Circuit Barcelona Catalunya, his home race of this championship, and he's been in there and thereabouts, hasn't he, Matt? He's not always been completely consistent with his pace.
Yeah, I think that's pretty true. The consistency has been an interesting one. And like we say, we have switched cars. That can change things. Dan a little bit wide on the exit of the last corner. That gives a bit of momentum in favor of Heike. Now, again, hard to get an uphill run, even with the draft and with the ability to brake so late going uphill. It's more about setting yourself up, and this is what Emery touched on in the interview, conceding the entry, focusing on the exit, and getting this run, and she's doing it exactly now against Borja Zazo.
Now, are we going to see the old Formula 1 style of pushing your driver off track on the exit? No, we're not. Emily's around nicely.
You mean Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon?
Yeah, there's many other examples of that as well, but Emily is passed, so Borja gave that car's width of space. He must always leave the space, and that means that Borja has dropped down a position, dropped 2 positions now, because Casey Kerwin has made it past at turn number 4 out of all that.
Yeah, Casey and Emery both from the back of the grid. I would say back row, but Casey, in fact, was solo on the last row, but from the 2 back positions have come all the way through the field. So forget what I said about Quirk having a chance to potentially score some free points over Emily Jones. She once again shows off her skills and gets all the way through. And we still have 19 minutes really left in this race. She has everything to play for.
We've got the focused approach of Matt Malone on screen right now. There he is, 5th place. He's got Borja Zazo in front. I mentioned it in that opening race of the evening, the sprint race, how him and Borja Zazo have had some tremendous battles here in the All-Stars throughout the series' history so far. It's been a really great addition to bring these All-Stars on board and get them involved, get everybody primed and ready for when the World Championship comes along. Of course, make sure you stick around, because on the hour is going to be when we head on over to the Porsche Tag Esports Supercup. But you don't want to go anywhere right now, because the entertainment and the excitement out there on track right now is second to none so far.
Absolutely. No, this is a phenomenal watch every week, the All-Star race. I've been so impressed with it and getting to know this series, and obviously familiar with Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, and familiar with these guys as streamers and entertainers, which, by the way, Paul, I have started streaming now. This is not a plug for my stream. It's a plug for them, because in a race this week, I was leading, looked down to read chat, and drove straight off into the wall, and I was barely getting messages. These guys are chatting, talking, interacting. It's incredible to watch, and they're still so quick. So, yeah, it's really, really cool to see how well they race with each other, because look, they're super entertaining. I wasn't sure what to expect for the on-track action, but it has been so good every week.
It's funny you say that, because I've been streaming for a few years and I still crash into a wall if I read my chat. So I'm
it's hard. It's so I can talk and drive nonstop. I talk nonstop anyway. I can hardly read as it is. So trying to do it while driving, no chance.
Well, and speaking of talking to the chat, look at this. Heike360 just looking around and chatting away to his audience. This is because they've been doing it for so long, and because they're so entertaining as well and so interactive with their audience.
It's just natural, I think.
Yeah.
But it's still impressive to me that they're able to take their eyes off the screen and be so quick with it. I find I get caught up by the message and I start reading it and thinking, and then oh wait, I'm driving a car. So yeah, it's easy to forget,
Oh, now one thing to note here: Emily Jones and Casey Kerwin have been catching Quirk right now. They're within 1 second. That gap was 1.8 seconds just a couple of laps ago. So Quirk will be starting to feel a little bit of pressure being put on his shoulders here from the 2 behind. He's not really been at speed around this track, it's safe to say, but Emily Jones and Casey Kerwin, those 2 right now, they have got so much pace in their cars. They're feeling so good, and here's the thing with the All-Stars: every driver is using the exact same setup. It's a fixed setup series is this. It's all about the driver behind the wheel, as some race mechanics used to say. It's the nut between the pedal and the wheels that is the difference happening right now. And as I head on through the final corner, why don't we give you a little bit of a Bose sound lap? It is on here. We were enjoying that onboard lap on board with Casey Kerwin, but it's 3 become 1 here at the front of your standings. It's Quirk, it's Emily Jones, and it's Casey Kerwin at the front of the field, and they've caught Quirk. Emily's looking to the inside of 3. No move being made so far, although Quirk just basically gets out the way there, doesn't he?
Absolutely interesting. You're right. He gave it to him under braking. I really did think. And look at Casey with this run off the corner as well. He's already up beside Emery, who had a decent lead off that. That was an incredibly good corner for Casey, considering he had to go around Quirk, but made it easy. I agree with that. Could have potentially defended a little bit harder. Maybe he's letting this be strategy. Maybe he's thinking, right, they're both faster. Why do I let them separate themselves? If Emily's going to go by, let Casey through as well, and they'll do battle, and he can stay in it. And that so far has gone to plan because Casey had an incredible drive.
Well, that's it. You're absolutely spot on there. If these two start tripping over each other for the lead, you never know. They might have an incident, and Quirk can come through and say, "Ha-ha, thanks, guys," and go waving as he goes past.
Yeah, absolutely. And sure, they're both faster. They both might get by, but if he creates a gap between them, they're less likely to have that battle, between them and give that space back. So perhaps a bit of strategy for Quirk, as he can also sit on the draft here. Casey diving all the way to the inside. I don't know if that was just breaking draft or if maybe he got a little sideways and decided to let the car go over there. But he is going to be a little bit defensive likely by the time they get to turn 3, because Emily Jones, we've already seen her make this exact move on him in the last race.
Yeah, Casey will be clued up to that here. You can see him. He's just looking around, looking in his mirrors. He's looking to see where Emily is going. And really, you want to defend the outside here. Show Emily the inside, because she's been so good at that outside line move.
She really has. Yeah, no question. He mentioned that. I mean, he referred to it as top and bottom, but this is exactly the point. Even coming off turn 3, the downhill run, you get a little bit of draft. Now you're downhill braking. Now you can be daring on the brakes, as opposed to turn 1 where you can be late and it favors you to get to the apex. Casey's going to do very well to hold on to that, but Quirk's right there. I mean, considering these two came from the back, got through and got by him, he knows what he's up to. He knows what they're going to be doing, so he'll just sit here. There's 11 minutes left to go. Considerable amount of time still, but he's in the right position to capitalize on this.
Yeah, the first race was 17 minutes long. This one's 27 minutes long. So, we're into the second half of this race, and these two at the front, they've been stuck together since the start of the sprint race, pretty much. Look who's loitering in the background, though. Matt Malone and Paul Shazarzo. Don't write them two out of joining the fun here at the front to take the trio into 5. Malone, though, he always looks like he's got about 1,000,001 things going on in his head, but it seems to work for him.
Yeah, some people are best that way with chaos, and they need to have that sort of stigmatism going on in their mind all the time to be constantly active, have their brain rolling, and I can relate to that. It benefits them. It keeps them on edge. Sometimes if they let that edge go down, they let their guard down, then they lose that pace or that focus. As crazy as that sounds, because like you're saying, it seems unfocused, but for some people it is a way to focus. So, not a psychologist, by the way, but there you go. There's my 2 cents.
I've observed motorsport for so many years. I'm not going to say how many years, but I've seen so many drivers in the past that have been really calm and methodical and really smooth, and then you see the drivers that come along who look like they're doing 1,000,001 things, and the car's completely out of control, and yet they're the fastest driver out there. And it just goes to show one style doesn't just fit all, does it?
Absolutely not, and it's the same even in the paddock with the personalities. Some of them are so high-strung and they seem so stressed, but really, that's just their way of being dead focused. And in the car, they're the opposite. They get super honed in and smoothed out, but it's just when they're out of the car, their mind can't stop rushing with all the things they need to do on perfectionism, if you will. And it's interesting, the personalities that go into race cars and create similar results despite being very different in achieving them.
So drivers come across the line once again. Good run. You're absolutely right there from Emily, but there's no move really being made. It's the run out of this corner. carry the speed out of turn 1. Make sure that you carry that speed, because you carry that speed all the way through here, through the... I mean, they call it turn 2. It's not really a turn, is this left-hander, but then it's uphill, steep uphill into turn 3, the hairpin. Get that apex right. There you see, bottom left, Casey Kerwin, bottom right, Emily Jones. They're both just busy, just chatting away. Well, not really much chatting going on at the moment. I think they're a bit more making this a case of, right, I actually want to win this one.
I think so, yeah. Casey's on for a double as our guest driver. The only double so far this year from a guest driver is Lone Heinrich in round 1, way back at the start of the season. Obviously, he himself a very fast driver, a Porsche junior driver, and absolutely incredibly quick on sim as well. But Casey Kerwin coming in lately, trying to show us his skill. And like you say, it's impressive that he's so quick at all the different disciplines that iRacing has to offer. Very well known in the oval circuit, has a Pro Series license there, and has 8,000 iRating on the road courses as well. He does it all.
Yeah, certainly. He's just one of those drivers who is like a duck to water. Just get them in the car, they go fast. Although that's a mistake from Casey. That's a little bit of a wiggle. Here comes Emily Jones, and she's not wasting time. She wants the lead coming up into turn number 1. If I'm Casey, I back out, try and get the up and under, but no, he's going to carry the speed around turn 1, and here comes Quirk. This is what he's been waiting for.
Casey's got a decision to make. Doesn't want to sit out on Quirk. Oh, Quirk slots in. Okay, fair enough. He couldn't continue the run on the outside without doing so, because I thought he might try and let Quirk go for a bump, but this is going to give him a decent look. A sniff of the inside at turn 3. Casey's going to close off the apex as best he can. Gets a decent amount of momentum off the exit, and it holds up Quirk enough that Emily might get a draft into turn 4 here, Paul.
Yeah, well, she certainly is, but she's having to go the long way around here. And that's not quite as easy as turn number 3 onto the brakes. You're downhill. It's off camber slightly. Yeah, that's just not working out there around the outside.
That angle, especially earlier where we saw Gamer Muscle get bopped by DePilio, Quirk was pretty close in to the back of Casey as it kind of comes together with the late apex and him going aggressively toward the apex, but the compression there as well. So it's misleading for the eye, but very well done from Quirk to hold on to this.
Certainly is. So up to second place then for Quirk then. This is important for the championship. This battle for second place is effectively battling for the championship here. Emily Jones wants by. Quirk wants to hang on to second after finishing all the way at the back of the field in the sprint race here today through the final corner. Look at the run that Emily gets at that last corner. She's been consecutively quicker than everybody else, and look at it. She's giving the old bump draft here.
I think she has decided her best chance for an overtake is turn 3, and that potentially even going for a battle with Quirk here might give Casey too much room. And I don't think she wants to settle for second. It's not just about getting this position back. She's thinking long-term on this race as to how she can get back to the lead. Now, that said, she doesn't want to sit behind Quirk too long if his pace can't match that of Casey Kerwin. This time back by the line, though, he was 5/100ths of a second faster, so it's not like there's much between them.
We've got 3.5 laps remaining here in this race. You will not want to go anywhere in this one. Stick around with us here, folks, because this is going to pick up, that's for sure. Casey just backing it up nicely into turn number 4. Quirk there, along with Emily. Although Emily's dropped back a bit, so she had an issue at 4. And that's allowed Quirk now to focus solely on Casey Kerwin now.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought she was being quite tactical about her positioning, but a small issue is going to fall her off this situation. It might create a situation where Matt Malone and Borzazo could even try and close out in front, but the race for the lead continues. 4th is the next 2 closest contested cars on the circuit. Emily is in the middle of this and likely wanting to move closer to the front rather than getting reeled in by Matt Malone behind. And yeah, Matt Malone has been all over the track today in decent situations. Boy, they're aggressively in the first race. We saw the draft battle, nearly got in for second toward the end, ended up 4th. And then, of course, this race as well. Borzazo getting back by him after his incredible heroics on the brakes earlier on.
heroics is one word for it, that's for sure.
Right.
But certainly the race for fourth is ongoing here, but Malone's just got that little edge over Bolgezazo for the time being, as we look forward. So yes, definitely it's great to see that we can give you both the race for the lead and race for fourth place in this one. And to be honest, these drivers could carry on racing everlong for all I care, because this is a tremendous race here. Kerwin just a little bit slower through turn number 4, but Quirk not able to take advantage of that. That's allowing Emery to catch up to the lead pair once again.
Well, she's reeling them in, and time to do it, but time is of the essence now as we get down to 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. As we'll change our camera slightly, the battle for the lead will stay in the top camera. Meanwhile, it's the race for 10th right now between Gamer Muscle, recovering after the contact early on, and of course, right now against Maxime, as they'll try and figure this out. But it's going to be basically 2 laps to go, Paul, this time by. So Emery has done well to close the gap, but now she's going to have to make a move.
Yeah, Gamer Muscle, who finished that last race in 12th place, Maxime in 10th in the sprint race. She'll be wanting to get a double 10th at least out of this one, being that a little bit further down, whereas Gamer Muscle in 11th. He is a position higher than the sprint race, but yes, that race at the top then, it's going on, and these drivers, Emily, she knows that time is running out now. Matt, I mean, you've been racing today. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts here? If you're in the position of Emily Jones right now, you need to get past Quirk this lap, I think.
If you still want to go for the lead, yes, but at this point with 2 laps to go, you go for every opportunity there is, being in third. If you're in second and it's a 2-car battle, maybe you sit back a little bit, you wait for the last lap so that there's no retaking opportunities, but no, you go for this, and I think she'll start to, any inside that she sees, any gaps, she'll start to investigate a little bit.
Well, here we are then. So this race to the end, we've got that race for the lead, the main box there. We've got the race for 4th, bottom left. You've got the race for 10th, bottom right there. Emily's looking out of turn number 8 in towards turn number 9, but she's backing out of it. She realizes she can't make that move into turn number 9. It's such a high speed sweeping corner. Quirk, the back end out on that car. Oh, that was
a gets slippery out there. On that AstroTurf, it gets slippery out there, so that was a good save.
Well, look at them at the front then. They're trying to break the draft. Casey Kerwin realizes that he has got 2 rapid drivers behind him at the start of this final lap of the race. And, well, Emily Jones, she's trying to get a 2 for here, 2 for 1.
She might. It's going to be a difficult one. Quirk's going to already fan out and get out from behind Casey Kerwin. He'll defend the low, as he said, the bottom, as he said, the inside of the hairpin. Off of it, though, a little bit of contact, pushing down the line. That's going to slow them both a bit because it's going to limit the drive that Casey gets. And Quirk means he can't get on the throttle as aggressively because there's an object in the way. So who gets the best exit? Emily Jones.
But she's a little bit boxed in here into turn number 4. She's got to try and get the run out of this corner. There's Quirk alongside. She's going to try and get second place at least out of this one. Heading in towards turn 6. Quirk has the ideal line. He's got the inside line. Emily, though, around the outside. They give each other space. That's really good racing between the 2 of them at high speed. And that's up to second place for Emily Jones. She wants first place, but it's going to be a little bit too little too late, in my opinion. Quirk is trying to hang on and try and get that place back, but I think with 2 corners to go, it's going to be a very tall order. But Casey Kerwin at the front, potentially 2 from 2. He's got to keep it within track limits on the final corner. That might be an issue for Emily, and Quirk got a slow down penalty. Meanwhile, Casey Kerwin across the line wins once again in this feature race. That's 2 out of 2 for today. What a back-to-back win. Emily Jones second place again, and Quirk got himself a slow down penalty, but does finish in third place.
Lucky he had a gap that he could serve that. I got penalized for that actually just this week, as if you are on the last lap and you cross the line having not served it, you get a 45-second penalty. I think it differs for each track. It was 45 seconds in my case, so it was 8 positions. So he was lucky he was able to jam on the brakes, react in time, and not cross the line, still having to slow that down, and he'll hold 3rd place.
Certainly will, as the last of the drivers come across the line. Let's go to the Bose post-race show here for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup All-Stars then. And, well, let's give you your results here for this round number 5 of the All-Stars. Casey Kerwin, 2 from 2 here today. He'll be delighted with his efforts today then to finish in 1st place. Emily Jones, 2 second places for her. Quirk, a much better 2nd race here after finishing last in the sprint race. Boljazazo, 4th place in the end ahead of Jardier. Heike 360 in 6th. Matt Malone dropping down to 7th at the end there, so issues for him ahead of Depilia. Then Dan Suzuki and Maxime holds on to 10th place. Game of Muscle in 11th, then Idra in 12th place, and Thimo Sant, who had issues on lap number 1, all the way at the back. Let's have a look then at what happened to Matt Malone on the last lap.
Yeah, you mentioned it obviously lost position based on what we'd seen. We were watching this race and this sort of exchange for 4th as it was, and that is a hip check if I've ever seen, and unfortunately this is not hockey. Hip checking doesn't really work.
I think Matt Malone was trying to learn to fly there with that one.
The good news is, kids, that is how you rejoin the circuit, not backwards as an LMP2 car in front of us. Just saying, that's fun.
Well, somebody is still salty about his racing. Somebody who isn't salty though. Take it away, Matt, with our race winner.
Yeah, Casey Kerwin, the double, getting it done. Matching that of the effort from Lauren Heinrich as our guest driver earlier in the year. But yeah, 2 weekends in a row for you. You're making yourself pretty at home here.
Yeah, that was another really fun race. The start was absolute like comedy from my perspective in a good way. It was like everyone kept making moves into like turn 1 and the hairpin, and we'd all end up 4 wide down the next straightaway. It was a lot of fun. That made me feel more at home with the NASCAR stuff being 4 wide down straightaways. So that was good. But yeah, it was a lot of fun again. Another great race with Emily and Tyson there. So yeah, glad to go 2 for 2, and yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, ton of fun to watch. Were you a little worried that there might be a late move from one of those two, given that they were kind of just sitting there and waiting? I think Quirk even kind of let you both go by at one point, thinking, I'll just let them keep battling.
Yeah, and then it was tough because I felt like I was getting, I don't know if it was like you said, they were just kind of waiting it out, but I felt like I was getting really good runs out of turn 1 enough where I could be safe into the hairpin, which the hairpin was my weakest point, I felt like. Everywhere else, I felt like I could hold them off. But then the last 3 laps, I just started throwing in turn 1 and just messing it up completely, and they were all on top of me. So, yeah, but it was a good race, and at the end there in the hairpin, I gave Quirk the outside, even though I prefer to be on the outside. And then I kind of barely cleared him when I'll use the road term, understeered wide a little bit, and
yes.
Kind of parked him on exit. I got real tight center.
That's
center.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Went up the hill a little bit.
Yeah.
But it worked out. But it was a good race. And
it was. We were touching on that too, because it looked like he might have got a run on you, but and then Emily had a run given on both of you because of that. But you had position in the end. Congrats, winning both races today. Not an easy achievement.
Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks again for having me, and yeah, hope to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And the same step of the podium this time, Emily Jones. We speak again. Another good race all the way through, and a nice 3-way battle at the end for the win.
Yeah, it was fun. I was it was pretty wild at the end. It was Casey, Quirk, and I was egging Quirk on. I was like telling Quirk to have a go every corner, which was I was encouraging him. And then I found out after the race that we were both in TeamSpeak together, and I had my mic unmuted the whole time, and he was hearing all my encouragement. So it was a good race. It was really fun.
How did he respond to that encouragement?
He says it was positive, but I was like, it was some pretty strong encouragement I was giving. So,
colorful.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I like it. I like that he didn't tell you until after the race either, because then you're like, oh, what did I say? Uh-oh. I know. That's
he could have told me straight away. He went for the whole race and then told me. Classic. Anyway, it was fun. It was a good race. Good battle.
I think that makes it even better. Shows the camaraderie. Well, good job today. 2 second places obviously looks good for the overall standings.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know where I'm sitting, but I think it'll be good. Considering like last race, I kind of had a crash with the incident points and stuff. So happy to get a consistent round out of the way and just consistent points.
Yeah, that is true, because it has been up and down, I think, this year. It's been very competitive. And one of the guys that's obviously in this year that's been doing that, Quirk, going to be joining us now, is Emily's just told us, Quirk, you waited until the end of the race to tell her that you actually could hear everything.
That doesn't sound like something I would do. No. Actually, to be fair, I unmuted TeamSpeak after the race, so I just heard like everything after the race, and she was just being her wholesome self. So it was great.
Okay, so it wasn't as bad. She thought you literally listened to the entire race and didn't say anything just so you could troll. Because I thought that would be brilliant.
I wish I did. Honestly. I wonder if anyone else were able to hear her.
I don't know. I would be curious, because I thought that was hilarious and it could have been fun. Were you thinking that if you let them, because you kind of let them go by easily, Casey and Emery at one point, were you thinking that you wanted them to keep sort of going at it with each other so you could stick in there and then maybe get a chance back at it at the end?
Yeah, I know that this track is definitely not one of my better tracks, and I'm fairly off pace here, and they were catching me pretty quick. So on, I think it was T2, I kind of went on the outside and braked hard and let them go, and was just kind of hoping I could stay with them in the draft, and then maybe if they fight, I could slide on by. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I'm still happy with the T3.
A little birdie whispered in my ear this week that you got your 1,000th official iRacing win. Is that true?
Yes, 1,000 wins on road.
That's incredible. I haven't even registered for like 100, so that's a huge achievement. Congratulations on that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
How many years is that?
Well, when you're this good, it was probably like a year, really.
just winning 3 races a day, no big deal, whatever.
Yeah. No, it was probably like 6 years. I think I've been actively racing now, so somewhere around
That's
there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Someone should go back and create like a montage of you crossing the line at each of them or something. That would be pretty impressive.
Yeah, that would.
I'm sure the replays don't exist for all of them, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that, and we'll see you next race.
Thank you.
Oh, I think that's kind of cool. 6 years. That's still pretty impressive when you think about how condensed of a timeline that is.
Yeah, I mean, considering I've been on 10 years and haven't even raced that many races officially. But let's have a look at what that's done to the point standings, and just 7 points separate Quirk and Emily Jones. Bose Zazo, not that far back either, in 25 points off of the lead. Jardier as well could be in for a good shout of a championship if things pick up the second half. That's the first half of the season done of the All-Stars. We've seen some tremendous racing so far. Long may it continue here, man.
Absolutely. Hey, that's insane that you just said that. Yeah, we are at the halfway mark right now. For the All-Stars, we're done the halfway mark. For the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, we're just getting there, and it's championship picture for both are starting to be drawn out now, and how time flies when you're having fun, Paul.
Absolutely. It's been tremendous to see those battles. And, well, that is going to be the end of the Bose post-race show here for you with the Porsche All-Stars. We've had some tremendous battles out there on track for these drivers. They'll be back next time. You make sure that you join us for that. But stick around, because very shortly we're going to be heading over to the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Club. And to get you in the mood for that, let's have a look at the schedule for this year's championship.
Over 10 weeks, from the winter to the summer, let's take a look at the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup schedule. First up, we head just northwest of Stuttgart, the home of Porsche, and open up our season on February 5th at the legendary Hockenheimring. Week 2, we head west to the Iberian Peninsula, where on February 19th we take on the beautiful mountains and sunny skies of northeast Spain when we head to the circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Let's take a trip over the Atlantic now as we head down to the most legendary circuit in Brazil. On March 5th, we will tackle the elevation changes and winding corners of Autodromo José Carlos Pache, otherwise known as Interlagos. Back across the pond, we go to the home of Grand Prix racing. On March 19th, we will see these Porsche Cup cars fly through Maggots, Beckett's, and the history of Silverstone Circuit. No time to catch our breath, as 1 week later, on March 26th, we will head down to the Styrian Mountains in Austria and tackle the fastest lap of the year at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg. Our third trip across the Atlantic now. On April 9th, we will go to the only island circuit on the calendar as we head to the middle of the St. Lawrence River in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to the Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. After a 2-week break, we head to eastern Belgium to race on some of the most famous corners or hills in all of motorsport. On April 23rd, we head to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 2 weeks later, we head for the biggest challenge in the 2022 season. 12.9 miles, 169 corners. On May 7th, we go to the Nordschleife at the Nürburgring. From one legendary circuit to another, we travel from Germany to the heart of France. Our penultimate round is on May 21st, and we'll take on the most famous circuit in endurance racing, the Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans. Finally, we round out the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup season on June 4th, just outside of Milan, Italy, where we'll take on the high speeds and tight chicanes of Autodromo Nazionale Monza. This is the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup schedule.
So, as we saw on that video, we are at round number 5 of the championship at the Red Bull Ring here in the Styrian Mountains in Austria. It is a tremendously challenging track for the drivers out there. 4.3 kilometers long, 2.6 miles. There's an elevation difference of 65 meters between the lowest and highest point at this venue. 10 turns, of course, for the drivers to contend with out there. And, well, to give us an idea as how to go around here in a fast manner, why not take it on board with Sebastian Job from the Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports team.
So here we go for a hot lap of Red Bull Ring. My name is Sebastian Job, I'm an Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports driver, so a bit of a home track, and yeah, I'll take you on a lap here. So coming into turn 1, we'll brake just before the 100 meter board. Try and cut as much as possible. Use the sausage curb a bit on exit, got to be careful of the off track there. So watch out for people invalidating their qualifying laps there. Then we're all the way up into 6th gear for the second corner, braking just before the 100 again. Use the uphill nature of this corner to help slow the car down, 2nd gear, and then hard on the throttle on exit. Next corner is going to be downhill, so you have to brake earlier than you think. So braking around 125-ish, cutting a lot of the corner if we can. Want to minimize the distance. 2nd gear, and up to 3rd on exit. Then we're coming up for 2 left-handers now, both very slippery, high-speed corners. They understeer a bit on entry and then very loose on exit, really having to be careful with the throttle. As you can see, getting very sideways. And again here, very loose, use all the track on exit, right up to the gravel. And then try and get a good exit up until the final 2 corners. Very fast one this. Once again, using all the track on entry, cut the curb, run wide on exit, and then dips down for the last corner. Lots of speed through there. And there we have a lap of the Red Bull Ring.
Well, thank you very much to Sebastian Job for giving us that insight as to a hot lap around this Red Bull Ring venue. The drivers will be getting themselves ready for qualifying in just a few minutes. And if you're new to the series, or if you've only been watching a few weeks and are wondering how best to identify those drivers, well, we'll take you through a driver parade right now to give you a look at those paints.
$100,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge? This is racing for immortality. This is esports personified. This is the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup.
After the relatively flat track at Silverstone just a week ago, we now head to the undulations and elevations of the Red Bull Ring in the Styrian Mountains. Paul Smith and Sadie Kirst here for you for round number 5 of the Porsche Heuer Esports Super Cup. Well, we had a tremendous race last time out at Silverstone. So this track here at the Red Bull Ring could really produce some upsets here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our race at Silverstone was some of the best driving standards that we've seen all year as well. I thought some of the on-track skirmishes, if you will, some of the moves, big grid that we have, 35 cars on the grid for one short Silverstone, but it was really good all the way through the field. I do want to give a shout out to Thomas Tetzel. I thought he did phenomenally well in qualifying. Qualified 4th, had technical issues, couldn't take to the grid. I'm hoping to see him bounce back from that this weekend because he certainly needs some points to go on that championship board. But yeah, really good racing, and I think this is another track that has lots of overtaking, as we just saw in the All-Stars. You've got great braking points. You can be a hero without the ABS on the 992 car, and it'll be a lot of fun.
It certainly will, and we're almost heading to qualifying for you here today, but the Red Bull Ring is in the Styrian Mountains. It's 4.3 kilometers long. As I said in the pre-show, 65 meters between the lowest and the highest point of the track here, and we're getting to see drivers out on track. If you've never watched the qualifying here before, 12 minutes that these drivers get to set a lap time for themselves. Only 3 hot laps, although what you tend to find this season is that they use up 2 of those hot laps as a preparation for a final assault on qualifying. Then we head on to a sprint race, and this one is just that 10 laps is the sprint race, and then 20 laps for the feature race. But Matt, we've been seeing this all season long, drivers just taking the time and just preparing their cars on their first 2 laps and then leaving themselves just 1 lap to go and win it all.
Yeah, it's a risk. I'm certainly a fan of putting in a banker lap, but I'm not as accurate and as speedy as these guys. These guys can get it done time and time again. So that's the way they like to do it. That's the way they like to set the track up for themselves, set the car up for themselves. And it's incredible the accuracy that they'll get out of just 1 lap. Sebastian Job's been on pole 2 times in a row now, Paul, which has been remarkable for him on a recovery in the season, shall we say. Now sits 5th in the championship. Still quite a ways back on Diogo Pinto, Mr. Consistency, but he's closing that gap. And it's important to note as well, all 4 of the rounds so far this year, the pole sitter has gone on to win the sprint race.
Yeah, so Sebastian Job, the only driver who has won 2 rounds of the championship so far this time to sprint races here this year. Looking at the cars, if you've noticed the white windscreen banner and the white rear wing, that is delineating that this driver, as we're on board with Kamil Grabowski right now, they are a rookie driver out there. Whereas the drivers with the black windscreen banners and the black rear wings, like we're seeing here, those drivers are drivers that are not in their rookie season. So it's a really good way of seeing who out of our 10 rookies, where those 10 rookies are out on track. And Cooper Webster has been by far the best one of the lot.
Cooper Webster has been. Now, keep in mind, just on that sort of that rookie rating, he didn't race last week. He's obviously an S5000 driver in Australia, which is their, I guess, if you will, their IndyCar of Australia, their fastest open wheel series. I think he sits 2nd in that championship. Couldn't make it back from that race in time to get on for the Porsche Heuer Esports Super Cup, but he didn't lose much in terms of points. The next closest on the standings, Oscar Bixerud, he was only 31st in the feature race, 22nd in the sprint, so no points for him at all. 20th, 23rd, 25th, 14, 10th for Matthias Cipolletta. That was a good result. First top 10 of the season for him. He actually had penalty points and was negative points for a while, so he's now up to 23, but then 30th, 22nd, 18th. They barely scored rookies last weekend, so Cooper Webster didn't lose much by not being here.
Yeah, certainly. It really has been the top rookie, and as you mentioned, even missing out does well. Salva Talons, though, he's a driver who knows a thing or two about pedaling these Porsches around in this championship, and he's the only one from MSI Esports for this season. It was Alejandro Sanchez who was joined him last season, but of course Alejandro has moved teams over to the Apex Racing team, although he's racing under the SDK Gaming banner here this season. And what a drive, and what a passionate response to winning that feature race last time out for Alejandro Sanchez. Yeah. I've never seen a celebration like that in all my years of sim racing.
I genuinely think he felt relief. Now, he's only a two-time feature winner in the Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, but both of those were at Silverstone, so a bit of a Silverstone specialist, if you will, as we see our sole privateer driver in this championship. Last year was formerly part of the R8G squadron, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Thompson, and now very much on his own.
Williams.
Sees Apex. Was it Williams? That's who it was. There you go. I knew there was an F1 connection there somewhere. I'm sorry. But yeah, now privateer this year. But no, I think Alejandro Sanchez was relieved. I think he's been very close too many times, as he said in the interview in the post-race. A lot of bad luck and circumstances that have taken him out of contention in too many races. And keep in mind, even though he's only 9th on the championship standings right now, and last year he wasn't really a contender, he was in the top 3 2 seasons ago and very much in the picture for the championship between Josh Rogers and Sebastian Job. So he's definitely a fast driver, and I loved the celebration. I really did. He punched his steering wheel by accident. He was fist pumping so hard. So good to see that level of passion.
In my days gone by as a rugby fan and commentator, I remember seeing a rugby player scored a try underneath the post in the Challenge Cup final. He celebrated with a fist pump right into his own forehead. So there you go.
Oh, that's brilliant. Did he knock himself out? Because that would have been outrageous. Jordan Caruso.
Yeah.
As I said, lovely looking livery for the Australian, who unfortunately also had some issues last week. Got a jump start, one of our 2 jump starts at Silverstone. And he's another rookie in the field that's looking to make amends and get some decent points this week out. In the rookie standings, right now he is 8th and only has 20 points to his name. So some good results and good points today would be go a long way for his season.
Right, we should be starting to see some drivers pushing now because they are starting their 3rd lap, and Dino Lombardi is one of those drivers heading up towards turn number 3 for that Williams Esports outfit, and he, of course, is one of our rookie drivers, and he's going to try and push on, try and get himself the best qualifying lap that he can. But yeah, these drivers now, they should be getting themselves onto their fast lap here in qualifying, so we'll be starting to see those times tumble down. Quentin Violate had a promising opening round of the championship at Hockenheim, and things just haven't really hooked up for the young Frenchman for the R8G Esports team. Sebastian Job, though, all eyes are on him. Can he get 3 pole positions and really cement himself as the leader of the Tag Heuer Pole Position Award? Because he would love that to get himself a Tag Heuer connected watch.
He absolutely would love that. Yeah, no question about it. And getting 3 poles at the halfway point in the season where only 2 other drivers have scored a single pole, he would put himself in a fantastic position to do so. But not just that, Paul. It's the recovery for him in the championship. The first round was abysmal. 4th in the sprint race was decent, 4th in qualifying as well. But then he was 22nd after contact at the hairpin in Hockenheim, and it just took a bit to him to get back into that consistency. Double second places after one in the feature race in Spain and then the first race at Brazil. But yeah, needs to continue that forward trajectory.
Times are coming in and they are tumbling fast. Max Benneker, no, Sebastian Job to the head of your qualifying standings right now. Looking at Thomas Tettler now. Can he get Ellis Jr.? Kevin Ellis Jr. now. Charlie Collins to the head of your standings. These times are coming in thick and fast here in qualifying. Can we get any more? Cooper Webster up to 3rd place. So the newly named Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports team certainly find themselves good time in 3rd and 4th place. And David Williams, we do believe he is starting his fast lap now. Bobby Zelensky will be coming to the end of his fast lap, so he'll be getting a time. Oh, that's pushing that track limits, isn't it?
That's pretty good. Nope, that's all right. He doesn't quite get over the backside of the curb. It won't have any bottom out issues. He'll actually use the camber of letting the car dig into that sausage curb to get a bit more grip, get a bit more drive. So that's about his fine line. That's very fine margin to be up on the white, but not going over it to get the X on the entry. It's a pretty tidy lap so far for David Williams. Charlie Collins, man, oh man, what a lap. 0.008 ahead of Kevin Ellis Jr., Cooper Webster, and then Job. I thought Job was on for another one. Matthias Sipola, that's a rookie we just talked about finally getting points. He currently sits in 6th right now, and he's within a couple of hundredths from the front of the field. So extremely close. Maximilian Beneke, Zach Campbell, all of the main guys in there, and Jordan Caruso still sitting up in that 9th position. We just touched on him. What an event, what a circumstance and outcome that would be for him.
Yeah, you look at that, and there's so many rookies up there in the top of the standings. Webster, he is one of those drivers that's a rookie this season. You've got Sonnen, Julian Sonnen is a rookie as well up there. Sheldon Caruso we've mentioned. Yeah, we've got some really good, talented talent that's fresh to the championship up there, mixing it in the top 10. This is Gianni Vecchio who's going to be finishing his lap right now.
Quinton Violetta was the one that had the best start of the rookies as well, and we really thought at Hockenheim, man, this guy's on for one. He was 5th in the sprint race in his first ever Porsche Tech Heuer Esports Supercup race. He was running as high as 3rd in the feature, but then some contact ruled him out of it. And he hasn't done anything since, unfortunately. But we're going to take a look at a replay here in the final corner, but I think this is just a bit too much oversteer, just a bit too much on the outside. That's pretty lovely looking. It looks fantastic on camera, but certainly not as fast as you'd like off of the final apex. But no, we haven't seen enough from Quinton Violette, but Mattia Sipola looking very, very solid here. I've got to ask, where's Graham Carroll again? Because Cooper Webster's up there, Sebastian Job's up there. Presumably their preparation, they would have all been running similar laps. Graham had an issue in Brazil with a pop-up that happened as he was on the front straight leading to his first lap, flying lap, and he pretty much had to stop because it took him out of the game, and that was certainly one error, but today, just 0.4 off the pace.
Well, I know the teams, they all ask for the best of you out there, and Charlie Collins has got the best of everybody out there then, but only by 0.008 of a second.
Can I actually just point something out, though? I say Graham Carroll, 0.4 off the pace. He's 24th, and he's 0.4 off of pole.
Yes.
That's outrageous.
First to 27th are covered by 0.6 of a second.
That's, this lap's being abandoned as, unfortunately, out over top of the curb at turn 3 and lost the drive, lost the rear end of the car. So this one's done.
Yep, so winner of pole position and getting themselves his first pole of the season for Charlie Collins. And also, that is a tremendous opportunity for him to try and get on. That's going to be his 3rd pole position in his career. Sebastian Job, though, still leads the Porsche Tag Heuer Pole Award Championship, so to speak. So Charlie getting himself involved in that one. Now, you mentioned it, Matt. Every round of the championship, the sprint race winner has started on pole position here. Do we see that again with Charlie Collins because it is such a quick lap round here?
Well, I can tell you that he qualified 2nd at Hockenheim in the first race and finished 2nd, so at least he can hold his position, but he would certainly not want to be the one that doesn't keep that tradition going.
Well, it is Collins and Ellis Jr. front row with Webster and Job row number 2, Matty Sipola and Julian Sonnen row number 3. Max Benneker alongside him, Zach Campbell with Jordan Caruso and Jeremy Bootsloop, row number 5. Diogo Pinto, championship leader, row number 6 with Dane Warren. Pete Berryman and Thomas Tetzler. Then the next row of the grid with Bobby Zelensky and Oscar Bexrud. Jamie Flug and Marina Sarica, row number 9. Row 10 for Johan Harth and Jeff Giassi, with Alessandro Bico and Gianni Vecchio, Quentin Violate and Graham Carroll down on row number 12. Row 13 for David Williams and Sam Keiter, Kamil Grabowski, Dino Lombardi, Salva Tollins and Alejandro Sanchez, our feature race winner last time out at Silverstone. Row number 15 with Josh Thompson and Jack Sedgwick rounding out the grid. So
just to note, Diogo Pinto is 11th on the grid, row 6. He has been Mr. Consistency. He leads the championship. This is his poorest qualifying of the year. He has not qualified outside of the top 10 yet.
Well, we'll have to see what goes on, but the drivers are getting themselves onto the grid now, ready for the start of this first sprint race of the evening. Great pleasure to have you all along here with us, and certainly tremendous to see you all enjoying this one. We love this series, and I'm sure that everybody watching this loves the series as well. Drivers getting themselves ready then. They're going to be looking to the starting gantry. The revs will rise, and we'll have 10 laps of racing here in the sprint race of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup from the Red Bull Ring. And it's a good start from Charlie Collins at the front. We've got some movement further back in your field as well. Kevin Ellis Jr. though challenging into turn number 1, and he's going to come out of turn number 1 in the lead, but Collins is going to be fighting that one all the way down this back straight, and Collins gets the run out of turn number 1 through turn number 2. They go now. Ellis Jr. is going to fight back, and here comes, that's Cooper Webster having a little bit of a sniff as well. Sebastian Job around the outside. It's all checking up at the hairpin first time through. So far so good though. Everybody's got away cleanly.
Yeah, very impressed by that. Seems clean all the way to the back, in fact. But just at the front, you've got the 2 Red Bulls starting on the second row. Cooper Webster went to the inside at the hairpin. I thought that was going to be a protection play for Sebastian. But Sebastian's got another rookie who's eager for points right behind him. Mattia Cipolo is taking absolutely no prisoners. He dove straight up the inside of Sebastian and forces him offline. That's going to make things a bit awkward. And they're still side by side. Now we're going to have contact. I think that's Bootaloo that's gone. Yes, he's going down the order, tumbling his way to the back of the field. And Max Beneca seems to be involved in that slightly as well. Back to 10th for him.
Yeah, so Bootaloo then, you saw it. It was contact, and around he goes down to the back of the field. 32nd of 32 here on this track, but we're still live with action here at the front of your field. 2 of the Porsche 24 by Redline cars battling it out. That's Beneca and Pinto. They were side by side through turn number 9. Across the line at the end of the first lap then, it is Collins from Ellis Jr., Webster, Cipolla up to 4th place ahead of Sebastian Job, Zach Campbell then in 6th ahead of Julian Sonin, John Caruso, Beneca, Pinto, and then everybody else sharing the next position, because they are all going side by side, 2-3 wide further down in your order as we're heading up to the hairpin here. Biko is on the inside there in this one. This is a battle for 20th place. Quentin Violate, no, not Violate, sorry. Gianni Vecchio is involved in that race for 20th as well. David Williams and Graham Carroll. He's starting to try and make his way through.
He absolutely is. Just to note, Pinto already up into the top 10, so looking to be Mr. Consistent again, as always, as he takes advantage of a few shuffling down the order behind, like Jeremy Bootaloo, for example, that was involved in that early contact. This battle's not going to stop. Rookies in 3rd and 4th position. I was starting to touch on that as we saw Bootaloo get booted in turn 6, because this is significant. Sebastian Job couldn't rest comfortably. You've got a rookie that's that eager, and all of the veterans in the series will say it's the hardest to defend against a rookie, because you know they want to prove themselves, and he went early on that. So Sebastian will have to sit back. Does still have his teammate in front to help him out on this, but Cooper Webster needs to be on the attack as well to try and keep the front side in check. They cannot let this draft get away. They can't let anyone break free. Collins still leads half a second. Not that significant around here yet. I will say yet.
I do want to point out Charlie Collins. I think he owes us a race win in this championship. He's yet to have a race win.
That blows my mind. Yeah, considering Zach Campbell, I mean, Charlie Collins was the rookie of the field last year. Zach Campbell now has an incredible result. He's had a feature win and 2 podiums as well as in sprints and features combined. But Yeah, where's Charlie this year? I would have agreed with you.
Yeah, Charlie Collins, I mean, he was, I'll be honest, before the start of the season, I would have had my money, if I was a betting man, I would have had my money on Charlie Collins for the championship with how he performed last season. But it just goes to show that you can never get the odds that you want, as there's Jordan Caruso with a nice move down the inside of Julian Sonin. That's up into 7th place for Caruso. That's not an easy move to make down into turn number 4, but he made it stick and just slotted in right in front of Julian. And Julian's got to be careful here because he's got 2 of those Porsche 24 by Redline cars of Max Benneker and Diogo Pinto wanting to come past.
And the Oracle Racing Team Redline cars trying to do what they can still. Sebastian Job holding the backside of Matthias Sippel at this point, but you absolutely mentioned it. There is a number of cars that are quick behind, and they're starting to settle into a rhythm. As that happens, these draft trains will start to close up to each other because the ones in front, they've got to check up. There's the Constantina effect. You've got to back up the braking for each of them, and the next guy in the lead pack will start to close down, being able to attack a little bit and get into that draft. So This isn't a broken train just yet. This is very much still a train, I would say, all the way down to 12th place at this point. A bit further of a gap that far back, but they're still able to catch on.
Sebastian Job, the race for 5th place ahead of Zach Campbell. He's got Jordan Caruso catching up behind him as well. So we could have a 3-car train for 5th place. And Job just doesn't seem to quite have the pace of the front 4 here. But here's the thing. With this championship, you've got that inverted grid to think about. Currently, it's Julian Sonin who's in that 8th place inversion to get pole position for the feature race. Job, he can finish in these positions because it will put him in the front 2 rows of the grid for the feature race. So it's not the end of the world if he does finish in that 5th place.
Not at all. No, I mean, this is still a good result when you consider consistency is king, and Sebastian just needs to keep chipping away at that point total. Sure, he's had 2 sprint wins, but he's also had a 7th and a 6th in feature races, a 5th here. You get that reverse grid. You're absolutely right. He's in a great position right now to have a good haul of points overall. This is a great race going on just a little bit further back, as I believe this is for 11th position right now, and it's heating up, no question about it.
Yeah, Thomas Tettler has moved forward into 11th. He managed to get ahead of Dane Warren, and Pete Berryman followed him through. They've got that side-by-side action between Zelensky and Johan Haaf as well. So Bobby Zelensky and Johan Haaf dueling it out further down the order. But Pete Berryman...
I love those purple wheels, sorry.
I was going to say, Pete Berryman, he debuted in the first ever season of this championship, has not competed in any other season of this championship until returning here this season, and he had his best results this season as well. 5th place in the sprint race in Barcelona. He's been a bit sort of hit and miss with that speed, but he's getting back to speed with driving in this championship in these packs.
He is, yeah. No, I love the Apex liveries with their inset wheel color, the very high gloss, high floral. You can see the Kevin Ellis Jr.'s car as well, the lighter blue as opposed to the purple that we saw further back in the field on Peter Berryman's. Perhaps that's appropriate. A grape is kind of a berry, purple, kind of just smile and nod, Paul. We'll go along with that one. But no, there's a lot to talk about in terms of Thomas Tettler, because as I said, qualified 4th in the last round, and it was something he desperately needed to get those points, and then couldn't get on the grid, had a technical issue. He was the first car to join the grid today. I just want to point that out. The second qualifying was over, and anyone who iRaces, and if you don't, you should. As soon as qualifying ends, it switches to the top. It says grid, and it counts down until the race is going green, whether you're on the grid or not. The second it went grid, he was on the grid today. He clicked it right away just to make sure he wasn't going to have any issues. So, certainly aware.
Oh, there is a little bit of a race going on for 9th place, I can tell you, as we look at Johan Haaf and Bobby Zelensky there. But Benneker and Pinto were switching places on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen there. So certainly you can see whenever those drivers switch, you can see them move up and down on that timing tower to keep up to date with all that's going on in this race. as we're heading on. But everybody seems to have got themselves into a rhythm now. They're into a little bit of a flow, and we'll certainly see how things go. The Vodafone replay, though, let's have a look. This is Josh Thompson and Oscar Bixrud into the final corner. Through they go, and that's a bit of a elbows out moment. And Bixrud comes back across. Josh Thompson and Jeremy Bootloop is the innocent party of that one.
He's had contact twice this race, and neither of them really his fault. That's just so unfortunate for Jeremy, who's having a great season. We've been talking about this retiring from full-time professional sim racing at the end of the season. He sits 6th in the championship. That's just, Josh Thompson, that's not ideal either.
Well, the driver's heading up forward, and you have to feel both Jeremy Bootloop and Josh Thompson out of this race. Josh Thompson will be disappointed with that after getting a couple of good results last time out at Silverstone. But worth looking up at the front of your field. Collins and Ellis Jr., just 0.4 of a second between them two. And then you've got two rookies here, Cooper Webster and Matty Sipola, 3rd and 4th place. And, Sipola certainly doing a good job so far. As you mentioned, he got 10th place in the feature race last time out at Silverstone, and he really seems to have got to the pace of this car now, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. He's well, I mean, we say that it's 2 rounds, maybe something changed in his philosophy, his approach to practice. Maybe qualifying has just suddenly become a massive improvement for him. Whatever it is working. If we go 3 for 3, I'm going to say absolutely he's found some pace. Not denying that he hasn't, but, again, I want to see it be a more regular thing, I think. No, I don't. Not to take anything away from today. This is phenomenal for him. We said top 10. He got his 10th place in the last round. That was his best result. Well, he's about to cut that in half again. Now, in fact, better than that. He's in 4th, not 5th. So very solid. And as I said, got very aggressive off the start. Knew that he could make a move at the start when everyone was checking up. And who did he go by? None other than a former series champion in Sebastian Job.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just 2 rookies in the top 4, but it's 4 rookies in the top 10. So Caruso and Sonnen as well. Caruso's
Return of the rookie.
Yeah, return of the rookies, absolutely. Caruso, after last time out, he needs a good result here today, and certainly is looking good to be on. Now, Pete Berryman is dropping down the timing tower. He's had an issue out there on track, so I'm sure we'll have a look at that a little bit later. But 3 laps to go, 2.5 laps to go here. And things are looking good so far. I'm not going to call it yet. I'm not giving a commentator's curse, but at the moment, Collins and Ellis Jr., they have just kept a solid 0.4 of a second between the two of them.
Pretty standard in this regard. I mean, we know, again, that the circuit, if you look at it, is essentially 3 sides of a square with an infield. That means there's 3 long straightaways, and we know the draft is extremely powerful here. Another hip check out of the hairpin. Look, unfortunate for Peter Berryman. That's what you were mentioning, that he was tumbling down the order. Those beautiful purple wheels getting a little scratched up, I think, on that one. But it's a tough spot, that hairpin. It's such a tight entry to it. There's a camber change in the middle of it. It's blind as it kind of curls away to the outside, and it's very common in iRacing to see people get together there. It's very common in real life to get to there. As you mentioned, Paul, we've seen people have to take to the escape road and over the curb just to not get hit in that situation.
Absolutely. Dame Warren throwing a monkey wrench into that one, that is for sure. And Peter Berryman does stay in the points. He is in 20th place, the last points paying position here in this sprint race. But here we're on board with Cooper Webster. Now, Cooper, does he sit here? Does he get himself a good result, or does he start trying to move forward in this one? Because we've got a lap and a half to go here, and Collins and Ellis Jr., they've just happily sat there between them two. Ellis Jr. has not made any attempts to overtake at the moment here, Matt. So we're looking like we may go 5 from 5 for pole and sprint race wins.
I completely lost track of that storyline and that narrative, because you're absolutely right. We are looking like that is a possibility. There's just so much going on further down the order that we've almost forgotten about poor Charlie Collins out there. It's one of those, curses in racing that, if you're doing so well and you're leading and there's nothing going on up there, you actually get less attention and less camera time, because why do we need to keep our eye on you? But yeah, standard as he goes is right now. And I mentioned it was 4/10 at the time. It's 4/10 actually, 4.8 this time at the line, or excuse me, 0.48 this time at the line. I said it wasn't that big of a gap yet earlier, because with that many laps left over, he's going to be using up his tires more. There's a good amount of drafting going on behind. Well, now with the final lap, it's a huge amount. We've got drama, Paul.
Yeah, Dino Lombardi, black flag, got a drive-through penalty at the start of the final lap. So Lombardi further down has had issues. So it's showing that the instant point limit, I mean, it was a big talking point at Hockenheim. It could be a big talking point here today, especially for that feature race, which is double the length of this race as well. But Collins has got a bit more of a gap at the front.
Bit more of a gap and a bit more attack from Cooper Webster heading down into turn 4 that time. Just ever closer on the brakes. Not many overtaking opportunities left from here at the end of the lap, though. Most of them come at turn 1, 3, and 4. You really need to get a run through the middle section if you want any chance of somehow getting it done in the final corner, and you almost need the car in front to run wide. So Ellis Jr., pending that happening, should be in for a second place here, but Charlie Collins is gone, and he will absolutely keep it going. 5 from 5 on pole sitters.
Well, Collins has got 2 more corners to go here then. And he's got 1 more corner to go now. Don't go too far wide. Don't pick yourself up a slow down penalty, Charlie. Oh, he was pushing the limits there, but he's going to come across the line then, and he's going to take victory for the first time in the championship. It's a sprint race win for Charlie Collins, his first win, as I say, in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Show a bit of emotion, Charlie. That's your first ever win in the series, but it's all in the day's work for him. That is for sure. Kevin Ellis Jr. finishing in second place ahead of Cooper Webster. What a debut season it is for Cooper. That's his first podium position in the championship.
Yeah, that's a tremendous result, and what a good job from Matthias Simpola. Cooper Webster, I mean, we know Webster's had the pace. He's shown that. Simpola, this is a big improvement, as you say. See more of that, but Charlie Collins, I would have expected more emotion too. Maybe he's just thinking, yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, it's all in the day's work for him, that first win. He'll want to get more wins under his belt. As I say, Kevin Ellis Jr. and Cooper Webster. Webster with his first podium in the championship. Sipler, Job, Campbell, Caruso, Sonnen will get the reverse grid pole position. Diogo Pinto, championship leader, 9th place ahead of his teammate Max Benneker. Thomas Tetteler ahead of Dave Warren with Jamie Fluke and Johan Half. Bob Zielinski, Marina Sarika, Chiasi, Vecchio, Biko, and then the rest of your field showing on screen. Salva Talons and the others did not finish the race. And well, Sadakist, why don't you take it away with our race winner?
Absolutely. My pleasure to do so, because it is his first race win. And it's interesting, Charlie, that Paul and I were talking during this race, after the incredible rookie season you had last year, we honestly thought this potentially could have happened a lot sooner. So you must be relieved to finally get the first win on the board.
Yeah, relieved and surprised actually for how qualifying went. I came across the line, I was quite disappointed actually, and saw it just got pole. So quite a nice surprise actually, and yeah, just control the race. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with that, and it's gonna be tough for the feature though.
Yeah, reverse grid, obviously, you'll drop back to 8th position on the start, but getting that first win, as we say, you're 10th in the championship. Last year, you had a tremendous rookie season. Without some of the guys, Mitchell DeYoung, Josh Rogers, that you were sort of working with and getting mentored by, did you think maybe there was is there more pressure this year, perhaps? Is there more eyes on you within the VRS squad?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people last year kind of already looked towards Josh so you could kind of race, with a bit less pressure on. But I mean, it's not the end of the world for me. I think it hasn't gone great this season, but to get the first win, I'm really happy, and I think it shows that if we just carry on like this, we can get some more.
Yeah, and it's your 3rd podium overall as well, so consistency starting to stack up, no question about it. That's a great result and a pretty comfy win, like you say, half a second pretty much the entire time. So congrats on getting the first win, and good job for the points today.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Well, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, that is Charlie Collins. Here's a look at what happened in that first race. I mean, it was a really exciting opening lap. I thought Kevin Ellis Jr. had got the move done at turn 1, but Collins able to come back on that run on the outside and then I mean, generally, overall, the standard of racing is just upper level this season, isn't it?
Yeah, look, yes and no. I think the competitiveness of the championship is up. I think that the qualifying is a bit more of a lottery. Josh is a one-hit wonder in the most incredible way. Unlike a musical artist, a one-hit wonder, I mean, one lap wonder. He's absolutely incredible in qualifying. He's tough to beat. This year, it's far more open. We've seen more inconsistency. I will say that Spain and Brazil both brought a little bit too much drama, particularly in Spain. But since then, we've had incredible standards. Yes, and I think the last couple of races have been very, very good, Paul.
Well, this is the venue where we are racing. It is the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. It's at 677 or 2,221 feet above sea level, 4.3 kilometers, 2.6 miles, 10 turns, 65 meters, the difference between the lowest point and the highest point of the track here. And it's certainly produced some sensational racing so far this evening, either with our All-Stars or in that opening sprint race of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Second race, let's have a look before the second race at the updated point standings here, because Zach Campbell now has caught up 3 points in the championship with Diogo Pinto, so that's now 17 points is that gap. Kevin Ellis Jr., third place, and Sebastian Job, 43 points back still, so Job closing that gap as well.
Yeah, Job is closing that gap actually quite a bit. It's still significant. Diogo Pinto, Mr. Consistency, didn't have a resounding result today, but he's still just getting the job done. He's still chipping away at it. And Zach Campbell is doing the same. But Kevin Ellis Jr., Sebastian Job, the fact that he's on the back of those three already is remarkable, because Kevin Ellis Jr. has already had a win this year in the championship as well. And Sebastian just showing us that he can recover from just about anything, and is very much in this. We'll see what he can do as well. Reverse grid. He may have lost one position off the start, Paul, but that's going to put him now in third position, as it'll be another second row start for him.
Certainly will, but Julian Sonnen, what a debut season to find yourself on pole position for the feature race of the of this round number 5 of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Be interested to see how the youngster gets on out there. Let's have a look at your grid then. And, well, as I say, Sonnen and Caruso, 2 rookies, front row of the grid with Campbell and Job. Sippler and Webster, row number 3. Row number 4, Ellis Jr. and Charlie Collins, his sprint race winner. And then everybody else is where they finished on the grid. So Pinto, championship lead at 9th place for him. Dane Warren, run number 6, our opening sprint race winner from the Hockenheim Ring. Further down the order as well, Gianni Vecchio, he'll be wanting to move forward in this grid. Beaker and Berryman, who dropped down the order after contact at the hairpin. Graham Carroll, well, he'll want to move forward, definitely. He's not having a good day here today. Quentin Violette down on row number 15 with Salva Talons. And the final 2 spots, Jeremy Bootsloop and Josh Thompson. Revs are raised, and we are set for the feature race here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Away they go then. Good start from the front row for the pole sitter, but Jordan Caruso coming under pressure from Zach Campbell in towards turn number 1. If you could carry the speed around the outside, Zach Campbell's half lost the car. There's a big incident in the middle of your pack. We've got 2, 3, 4 cars involved in that one. They're still having an incident there. Oh, this is what we were fearing on lap number 1. Johan Half,
Yeah, I think it's Hart that went back down the order behind. I was about to say, rookies attacking behind you at the start of a race is one thing. They'll be licking their lips now because they get to attack the rookies, and these guys could burn up tires. They could be too aggressive. Look at it right now. You've got rookie 1, 2, then Sebastian Job. Rookie 4, 5. He is the only veteran among all of these guys right now. He is going to be absolutely loving his chances of inexperience, and you're seeing it already, outbreaking himself. Oh no, poor Jordan Caruso, who was on for an absolute best result in the series. He's locked it up. He's gone deep, and he's fallen deep in the order as well, down to 11th position.
I can tell you right now, in the pits, Dane
Oh,
Warren, Johan
slide.
Hart, Sam Keiter, and Oscar Bixrud. Zach Campbell having issues with the car, and he's still
That tire's
not able to
gone.
hold it.
That tire's gone. He absolutely overheated them too early. He got a massive slide in turn 6, and in iRacing, the thermodynamics of the tire, they don't cool down that quickly. So when he arrived at 7, he turned the car in, and the grip was still just absolutely skyrocketed. More so because this is early in the stint. The pressures haven't come up in the tire, so now you've got a surface that's super hot and no pressure to give that sidewall stability. That's double damage on the tire. So he was gone for two corners.
You could see it in his face as well. He knows that this was a great opportunity at a potential race win, or at least a podium at least, and he's just got to try and work at this. He can't let these things get into your head too much. But Julian Sonnen, 1 second gap up of Sebastian Job, who's made his way past Matti Sipola. Is this the canny veteran now? I can't believe I'm calling Sebastian Job a canny veteran, by the way. He is in second place. He has moved past Sipola, but he's going to have to try and charge down. And, well, dissect this one then, Matt.
This was wild because you could see it already. Zach Campbell got so aggressive on the brakes, but when he gets out over the curb, again, tires aren't there, the grip, he can't catch it 4 wheels off the air, and it just causes a massive kerfuffle behind. Sebastian Job made a brilliant move to jump left. Sure, take the 1X, get off the track, because it could have been far worse. And then you're right, Benica gets checked up, everyone's off the throttle, people are still entering the corner blind, and there's just not enough space for everyone. Poor old Johan Hart got nailed into the fencing and then got hit and collected as well. So we've got 4 drivers out. Dane Warren being one of them, by the way. Dane Warren was our championship leader after round 1. He has gone nothing but backwards since. He's in 12th in the championship coming into this. He's out of this race. Sam Keiter, a rookie, gone as well. Hart, as I said, at another rookie, youngest driver in the field, youngest road World license holder in iRacing. Oscar Bixrud is out of this one too. So unfortunate for all those guys. But yeah, that all started just by Zach Campbell getting deep, and look at how it's gone since then. Those tires, man, he has been, you mentioned it, you could see how frustrated he was on camera. I would be too. He makes the mistake in turn 1. He gets a little bit too optimistic, a little bit too hopeful with the grip in turn 6, and it cost him again at turn 7. And right now he's back to 20th place after looking at 2nd in the first corner.
I'll tell you who's not getting it all his own way, Sebastian Job, because Matti Sipola is sitting there with him. He's got Cooper Webster behind him, and then you look at it, Ellis Jr. and Charlie Collins, the guys who finished 2nd and 1st respectively in the sprint race, are now in 5th and 6th place here, as we're going to have a look at another replay. Kamil Grabowski, and this is Jeremy Bootsloot making a move.
No, he's had a rough day today. He really has. Hit twice by no fault of his own in the first race. That one was a bit on him, I think, sticking it in late, trying to undercut mid-corner while the apex is already being argued for. Yeah, unfortunately, that Valentine's not going to go through. The apex picked another one in that category, I think, so he'll have to sit back at this point. Last place of the running cars, 28th. Weekend to forget.
Well, I mean, Jeremy Bootsloop has not had a good couple of rounds now. He is Salva Talons, one of the drivers who did not finish that first race, trying to go around the outside of Campbell. Yeah,
I do want to see another angle of that one. That one, it's tough
Campbell
to tell because
he was having an issue, wasn't he? Mid-corner.
He looked like he was already in a bit of a slide. He did look like he was already in a bit of a slide. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that, he punted another driver, but it didn't look as intentional or as nefarious as maybe that looked from that angle. I'd like to see maybe even an onboard, because I think potentially he was in the middle of an oversteer moment. Move from Charlie Collins.
Yeah,
I think we're going to get it right now, Paul, actually.
Yeah, let's have a look then. And I mean, this is it.
So here it is in front of us. Yeah, so this will give us a good look. Watch the inside car right here. I think now he starts to get loose. Yeah, unfortunate. He's just struggling for grip, is he? I mean, he's just killed those tires too early.
Yeah.
And that will happen on a real tire. If you absolutely roast a slick tire early in the stint, you will hurt the carcass and you will not get it to pressurize and grip correctly. It will fall off in the stint. So he is having trouble getting those to manage. And the problem is he has to slow it down and cool them down to even have a chance at getting them back into the working range. And as he does that, there's so many competitive drivers. Remember, it was 4/10 between 24 positions on the grid. They're just steamrolling by him. So unfortunately, he just gets an oversteer moment. It's just a race to forget for Zach.
Charlie Collins and Cooper Webster, in the meantime, were half a lap side by side, and that meant that championship leader Diogo Pinto was wanting to try and get involved in that one and try and move forward in your field. And coming with him is Thomas Tetela as well. So having a good round this round is Thomas. As at the front, then it's still Julian Sonin, but it's only 0.8 of a second over Sebastian Job. Then it's Matty Sipler, Cooper Webster, Kevin Ellis Jr., Charlie Collins, Pinto, Tetela, Caruso, who's recovered a little bit, up into 9th place, and Jamie Fluke in 10th place. But this is Julian Sonin right now that we're on board with. And looking back at the 2020 champion, Sebastian Job, if somebody knows how to win a championship and to grind out results, it is Sebastian.
Surprisingly, the draft hasn't been nearly as powerful as I would have thought today. I mean, I know there's a train of cars behind that are getting in a tow right now, but Soinen's not, and Sebastian's not closed this down. I mean, we saw Charlie Collins having a 4/10 gap for the entire first race. It looks similar right now, so this is a phenomenal drive so far from Julian. And I called wheel spin at the start because we saw smoke coming off the back of his car at the start. I thought maybe he was going to overheat the tire. I thought, even though he got a good launch, I thought he was going to have trouble in turn 1 and 2, but he's really controlled this, and very, very mature drive considering hasn't really done a lot this season. In fact, no top 10 results. At 11th is his best finish at the feature race in Spain. So this is masterclass from him.
Oh, there's you can see Sipala in 3rd place is keeping the pressure on Sebastian Job as well. So Job can't afford to relax at all in all of this because he has got that youngster of Matti Sipala, the rookie, with that rookie banner on his car. You can see it. 3 of your top 5, all rookies. And it's on the Job and Ellis Jr., who's in 5th place, that are not the rookies out of them. So the rookies are coming good this time at the Red Bull Ring here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, round number 5 of the championship. After this race, we will be at the halfway point of the series, and we'll have a good look at those championship standings when we get to the end of this broadcast to give you that look at the halfway point to see who's really standing out in all of this.
I can tell you who's standing out points-wise right now in this race, despite that Soinen's leading this one, is Sebastian Job, because you've got Soinen, who's not really a factor in the championship, taking the first place points. Diogo Pinto, who's leading it back in 7th. Charlie Collins is further down than he is. Cooper Webster, you could say, is getting a great point score total too, but it's Job that needs a big weekend over the rest, and all the rest are down the order. Zach Campbell, 2nd place in the championship. Abysmal race. I'm not even sure where he is still at this point. 25th, the last point playing position. Jamie Fluke, not really in this right now either. And obviously, yeah, this is a big day for Sebastian Job. I shouldn't say Jamie's not in it. He's in 10th, but again, that's a big discrepancy. So Sebastian's having a laugh right now.
I will say Jamie Fluke is the nicest guy in all of sim racing. I will stand by that. From my interactions with
I
Jamie.
thought you were the nicest guy in all of sim racing, Paul.
No, Jamie's far nicer than me, trust me. Not on the track. On the track, he races you hard. He races you fair, but he races you hard. But look at this race then. 7th place is under pressure at the moment because Pinto has got Thomas Tetela, who's been a bit of a shadow to Pinto all race, hasn't he? He's there in 8th place as Thomas, getting a good look at him, and nice use of the potted plant in the background, help aerate that room and really help keep the room nice and fresh.
Yeah, it's like the oxygen intake for those people that do like Pikes Peak when they get so high in the altitude they need to continue to think straight. He's just got a plant to help them stay focused. I like the idea. Maybe I'll get some of those for the LMP2. Sorry about that. Just bad memories coming up there.
He won't let it lie, that's for sure. But
I'm just having fun. Look, it's all fun at the end of the day. In my case, for these guys, it's a little more than fun. It's pretty serious.
Yeah, this is absolutely serious out there for these drivers. I mean, Thomas Tetela right now in the championship, I mean, he's not had the best of season so far. 17th coming into this round of the championship. So again, another good points haul for somebody who's maybe not had the best of starts to this championship. And, well, we're seeing it here today. I said before we start qualifying, this track, it has a real chance of mixing things up and giving us a strange result. And so far so good. Things are getting mixed up here at the front.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. This is, revenge of the rookies, return of the rookies, the Red Bull Ring of the rookies. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah, this is a huge showing. We're seeing a lot of these trains together, but not this close to the front with the White Wings. That said, I do have to talk to someone who's had a very good season so far, super consistent throughout. Fortunately, feature race at Silverstone, not so much, but today, Jeremy, not your day. First race, you got taken out twice, no fault of your own, and then the feature just didn't go your way. You were so far back down in the order. Talk us through it from your perspective.
Hey, yeah, one of those days, I guess. The sprint had started rather okay, but yeah, then I got hit. Nothing I could do about it, and yeah, sent me back the order. Couldn't really make any positions. I know that if you're not up front, it's crazy back there, and especially on this track where everyone can really follow each other pretty easily. So yeah, sprint wasn't really good. Didn't have much to lose for the future, so I was like, well, let's go and see what happens. But yeah, sadly, starting from the back, yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid those big pileups. Yeah, did my best, but was at the wrong place, the wrong time, and yeah, I got some damage. And even if the car was okay, I got disqualified because I had to go to the pit. So yeah, not ideal.
Not ideal at all, as we see Diego Pinto making a move on Charlie Collins, significant for the championship leader. But from your perspective, Jeremy, Paul's touched on this, and we've talked about it a number of times on broadcast. You're still a young man, but you've announced that this year is potentially the last year for you as a full-time pro sim driver. You've had great results. Any chance you'll reconsider, or what are your thoughts? And maybe talk us through a bit of that for everyone.
It's been like a big thinking process before the season, and yeah, basically in my mind it's pretty clear. For me, it's my last season no matter what, and I was actually kind of happy that it went that well in the first few rounds because I wasn't really expecting it. And since round 3 I have a bit less time to practice, which sadly corresponds a bit to results not being that great, although I think sometimes it was just bad luck. But yeah, as much as I enjoy, racing at the top level, and just being on the grid, because PESC is one of the most competitive series out there in sim racing. Yeah, I really think it's going to be my last one, and I need to move on, not from sim racing, but move on from competitive sim racing.
Very cool. Well, yeah, it's great to hear it from your mouth because you've been around for a while. You've done a lot, and no doubt you have a lot of respect within the scene. So glad to hear you're not moving on entirely from sim racing, and bad luck today.
Thanks for that.
So let's have a look then at what is going on here in this race, because Sebastian Job has caught up that lead now. Julien Sonnen, who's led all the way from the green flag so far, is now just 2-3 tenths of a second ahead of Sebastian Job in second place. Matty Sipler, third place ahead of Cooper Webster and Kevin Ellis Jr. That's 3 rookie drivers in the top 5 of the standings. We saw, as Sedicus pointed out, that Diogo Pinto made the move on Charlie Collins, and that is crucial for him to get those extra championship points. Timo Tetler, 8th ahead of Jordan Caruso, another one of your rookies in 9th place, and Jamie Fluke rounding out your top 10. But this is going to be an interesting one, and why don't we give you a little bit of a Bose sound lap? That was our Bose sound lap on board with Cooper Webster. Looking further back down in your order, there is Alejandro Sanchez, the man who won the feature race at Silverstone last time out. He's down in 16th place. He's got Graham Carroll with him, just behind him in 17th, with Pete Berryman there as well. Dino Lombardi and David Williams rounding out this little train of cars further down your order here. And Sanchez, he won't be happy with how things have gone this round of the championship, and I think that's Williams and Lombardi going side by side just behind them there. But yeah, as I say, Matt, Alejandro Sanchez, he goes from winning a feature race last time out, now he's down in the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those days. I mean, the order seems almost flipped in so many ways with the, as we said, the rookies doing so well at the front. Ellis Jr. up to 5th. So good points now for him, looking good. Pinto still, though, getting in there in 6th. Mr. Consistency, he's done it again. Poorest qualifying we've seen from him this season. He was 14th. Got up to, I think it was just 10th in the sprint race, to be fair. And now he's in 6th this time out. So continuing to move forward in that Porsche 24 Team Redline car. Yeah, poor Alejandro Sanchez is one of the many drivers this week that's been down the order. Graham Carroll on another weekend to forget. We heard from Jeremy Bootselu, Dane Warren. Not his best weekend out, unfortunately. So yeah, there's some big names back there. Not least of which, by the way, Max Benica is in 23rd right now after that early spin that was as a result of the avoiding action of the turn 1 incident.
Yeah, not going well. Pinto looking at Kevin Ellis Jr. looking for 5th place is Pinto, and he's got ahead. So Pinto ahead of one of his championship contenders in Kevin Ellis Jr. This is turning out to be a really good round for Diogo right now. So up to 5th place in this race, started in 9th. And well, he's certainly enjoying himself out there today, plus 4 positions for him. And Pinto, there you see him, just focused. Just look at his next target and saying, right, Cooper Webster, I'm coming for you. I want your points.
Well, we know that they're getting better with plants and decorations in their room, Paul, but some of them don't even know how to place themselves inside the frame of the camera. So we're getting there maybe slowly, but not quickly enough. Diogo Pinto is quick in a car, but inaccurate with a camera. Or he's really short, Paul. Maybe he's just really, really short.
Yeah, just tilt that camera down a little bit to help us out. But yeah, so there's Pinto. I'll look at Diogo Pinto, then the championship leader. And you're absolutely right, Matt. All the way through this season, it has been a case of just getting those points. And that's what you need to do to win championships. I've seen many a time that drivers have won one race. I mean, I think back to Keke Rosberg, only won one race in the championship season, and he won the championship. As there goes Pinto.
Granted, that was a pretty tragic year in 1982. Yeah. But yes, absolutely. No, that's a great point. And the one I often use is as Webster manages to get his nose just back in front. Pinto's moving up, man. 5th now. I was saying Sebastian's going to be taking a haul of points. Well, he might want to get to the front quickly because Diago certainly is maybe holding his tires on. Maybe Soinen, as a rookie, did eat up his tires a little bit, and that's why that gap came away. But yeah, the example I always give is the 2007 Australian Supercars. Rick Kelly, he never won a race the entire season and beat Craig Lowndes controversially in the last race for the championship. So yeah, kind of interesting that consistency is king.
It certainly is, and right now, Diogo Pinto is showing that he is trying to put on a championship charge, and well, he did compete around this track in the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland last year against his teammate Maximilian Benecker. So those two were dueling it out for a championship. So he knows what it takes to be involved in the championship fight. Okay, not at this level, at the Porsche Tacora Esports Supercup level, but certainly can get involved in championship fights. But looking at this race, the race for the lead, if you're Sebastian Job, you're seeing, and I'm sure you're getting told, in fact,
he's got it,
yeah. Here he is, around the outside. Can he get that move stuck against Sonnen? Sonnen tries to squeeze him as they come out the corner. Here's Matti Sippola. Now, if you're Sippola, you sit to the inside here if you're him. You try and follow Sonnen and all of this. try and get a jump over Sebastian Job. Job to the outside. If he can hang it out around turn 4 and 5, he's got the inside for 6. Again, look at that, inches between them. But
This is gonna be tight.
Job has that overlap there into 6. And 7 is the inside line for him as well. But again, Sonnen able to hang on to it. Job, oh my goodness.
Wow.
Almost
At
contact
7,
between
the
them.
outside? There was contact. That's crazy. Sippola's going to have a look, as you say, because this is going to put Job on the AstroTurf.
Oh, this is getting closer. Pinto's getting involved in all of this with Cooper Webster as well. Business is picked up here, and it is getting real exciting. And there is Pinto into frame, into shot. Kevin Ellis Jr. now. Oh, that's an aggressive defense from Pinto on the exit of the final corner. Well, Ellis Jr. won't like that at all, and the Scotsman won't be afraid to tell him what he thinks of that. Meanwhile, Charlie Collins is getting involved.
I don't even know that Pinto wanted to defend there. I think he came off the outside curb and needed to get to the inside. He wasn't watching exactly where Ellis Jr. was. I think he was looking directly behind him in the mirror for where Charlie Collins was. Job's not done at the front. This is absolutely heating up. I was about to ask if you've ever played Slither because we've got a snake, but this isn't a snake now. This is fanning out everywhere. 2 by 2 again. Charlie Collins will go with Kevin Ellis Jr. And the big gainer in all of this is Diogo Pinto. Now up 5 spots in this race. In fact, nearly the highest gainer of all. Alessandro Bicco in 7 spots, but he's well down the order. Josh Thompson, 13. This is a huge, huge race for Diogo Pinto.
Well, he's seeing Bicco on that bottom screen, the race for 12th place. He's the one in 12th, ahead of Gianni Vecchio and Jeff Giassi and Moreno Sarica. So it's 2 Williams cars, and it's a Porsche 24 by Redline sandwich there for them as they go through. But look at that top screen as well. The race for 5th place. Currently, it's Kelvin Ellis Jr. trying to get past Charlie Collins. Collins, though, he's moving forward with Pinto here in this race. I mean, Pinto has been making these moves and making them stick. He's had to. And Sebastian Job just can't get the job done on Julian Sonnen at the lead.
No, absolutely not. Can't get by, but he is getting ever closer. I say that he's lost a half a tenth this lap, but he's got a bit of a buffer as well. About equal distance back to Sipola, so he's positioning himself well. There's still 4 laps left. He's already had a look. He's already put Soinen under pressure. He knows Soinen's, yeah, exactly that. Going to be nervous. That'll be a 1x for Soinen. That was over the white line, so he's just barely crossed it, and that's due to pressure put on by Sebastian and him trying to open up the corner to get a drive. Remember, these guys, safety rating, that doesn't matter. They can farm that on their own if they want to. Right now, it's just about not getting disqualified, but getting the pace out of everything. So they'll intentionally take X's, such as that example, just to be sure that they can hold position.
Anyone new watching and wondering what we're on about with instant points? Well, the iRacing system, it allocates instant points. If you go off track, that is 1 instant point. If you lose control of the car, that's 2. And if you have heavy contact with another car, that is 4 instant points. And with only 17 instant points before a drive-through penalty in this feature race of 20 laps, these drivers have got to be really careful.
Yeah, and it's a huge advantage to stay out of it early, because if you get a lot of incident points early as well, you can't take those risks. You can't intentionally, I don't want to say abuse the track, because if you abuse the track and go that far off, you're going to get a slowdown penalty, which is a much bigger deal. But you can't just get that extra little inch out of it. You can't afford that little slide on the exit of a corner, and it can compromise you when you're up against people who have a little bit left over. It's kind of like if you want to look at it from that regard as a tactical thing. It's like having a boost button in IndyCar, and the drivers who save it and have it late, well, they're always going to be more defensive or aggressive than you, who's used all yours up, so to speak.
Julian Sonnen feeling the heat from Job. Oh,
Pinto's in again.
Matty Sipola loses out to Pinto, and Charlie Collins is following him through here. So the race for the lead is on, the race for 3rd place is on, and Diogo Pinto, this could be a good one for the championship. Job to the outside. He's trying to get the up and under here, get the drive off the corner, but he's going to be on the outside for turn 6 and turn 7. You can hold it around the outside there, but Job knows now is the time to make these moves and move forward, because the championship leader is right there with them, still absolutely side by side. Sonnen and Job gets a nose ahead. Sonnen wants to come in, but here's Pinto down the inside. Can he get that second place now? He can get that. He's almost going to first place.
That camera angle made me think that they were going to make contact as Job went for the apex. I didn't think Diogo could get out of it, but there was about a half a car width between them. This is a championship level drive from Diogo Pinto. 14th in qualifying. We know how hard it is to pass in this championship. We know how much drama there is today in seeing moves not stick, and he is up. Oh, that's a big slide. He might even go for first here. Diogo Pinto might have this. Job just lost the drive. He's under threat right now. Look at everyone on the attack.
Pinto has got the bit between his teeth. He can sense a race win here today. Job, though, coming back across, trying to be defensive. Pinto to the outside. He can get the drive out the corner. We've seen this all evening here today. Job, Pinto, absolutely neck and neck as they're heading down.
He can hold this, though.
Number 4.
Job knows he can hold this. Soinen did it to him, and last time around he went to the outside knowing that he could make it stick. That's how he got to the lead. So he's actually going to drive him out. That's exactly right. I would have done exactly that. Put him as absolutely as limiting on the edge of the track without putting him off as possible. Make him be nervous to get on the throttle. Make him have to get out of it and not push him off. But Job knows he can hold this. This is exactly what I was talking about. If he gets to the outside, he gets the 7 switchback momentum. He can pinch him. That's actually quite good defensive driving from Sebastian Job off of turn 4. Left it to an absolutely thin margin, but exactly what he has to do to limit Diogo's run.
Well, it's all going to come down to the final lap of the race. Look at the queue of traffic behind Sebastian Job right now. That goes all the way down to 10th place. First to 10th and across the line as quick as that. The white flag is out. There's Job. There's Pinto on your screen. And well, the race for first is on. It's all about the drive out of turn number 1. Get the slipstream, get the draft. Job leaving. He's got to be careful not to do that too much down the straight, or else he will get accosted by the stewards into the braking zone for 2. We've seen the move around the outside work well all evening. Pinto runs wide
Pinto
on the
deep.
curb. This is going to allow Julien Sonnen now to come alongside. He wants a second place. He wants his best ever result.
And look at Job.
The rubbing doors. Job giving the slipstream to Sonnen. Sonnen now trying to get to the inside. Can he hold on to it? Pinto. He's not squeezed Pinto like Job did. And he's now trying to have a look at the lead. This is absolutely sensational. Last lap of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. Matty Sippler's run wide further back, but forget about that because Pinto, he wants second place. Julien Sonnen, who led most of this race, contact between the two of them. Big moment. Charlie Collins could get involved in all of this. He does. He's up to 3rd place in this one. But Sebastian Job, he doesn't care. He's at the front of the field right now. He's just got one more corner to go around. And look at the grin. Look at the smile. He's delighted. He gets a feature race win here this season. His first of the season after getting 2 sprint race wins the last 2 rounds. Diogo Pinto, 2nd place ahead of Charlie Collins. My goodness, what a race that was.
That was incredible. You nailed it as well, because Sebastian Job would have been loving that Soinen was able to get his nose inside of Pinto, and he gave him the slipstream. He wasn't defending on the inside, going down the straight to 4. He was pulling over to slip Soinen in so that he could use him as his defense against Diogo Pinto, who still manages, to be fair, a bit unfortunate, great racing. Soinen gets shuffled out, will lose out on his first podium, but that's not the last we've seen of him. That was a phenomenal effort from him. 6th place in the end. Big oversteer moment from Pinto. Car flipping in the background after the flag. All right. I think everyone's crossed the line, so that should be fine. But that was a heck of a race, absolutely. And Diogo Pinto, hats off to him from coming through the field. And Sebastian Job, here's a stat for you. Despite that we're calling this a recovery drive, Paul, he's the only one to win more than 1 race, and he's now got 3 this year. That's pretty impressive. He's got the only multiple pole positions, and he's got the only multiple wins so far this season.
Well, this is the Bose post-race show, and Sebastian Job takes the victory by 0.7 of a second. That gap does not show the battle that went on and the effort that went on in that particular race for the victory. Diogo Pinto, though, really crucial for his championship lead to finish in second place, ahead of Charlie Collins, who got the sprint race win here today, his first ever win in the championship, finishes third place in the feature. Kevin Ellis Jr. able to head out Matti Sipola and Julian Sonin, both of those drivers with their best ever results here in this championship, 5th and 6th, ahead of Cooper Webster, again another one of those rookies with a really good result, Thomas Tetela, Jordan Caruso and Jamie Fluke. Then Bobby Zelensky outside of the top 10, 3.4 seconds off of the lead in 11th place. Unbelievable stuff. Then it was Bika, Vecchio, Giassi, Sarika with Sanchez in 16th place, Graham Carroll 17th, won't be happy, Peter Berriman, Josh Thompson and David Williams in 20th. Kamil Grabowski with Salva Talons, Quentin Violette, Zach Campbell. Oh, what it was for Zach Campbell, I don't know, but he finishes 24th in the end, ahead of Max Benecke in 25th. Well, Matt, take it away with our race winner.
Yeah, someone I'm getting quite familiar with talking to in these last few weeks. Another win for you, Sebastian. This time not with a pole position, and this time it's a feature. You're the only one to win more than one race, feature, or sprint this season. It's starting to look better for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a bit lost for breath, to be honest. That was a crazy race. Yeah, very glad to get a feature win. The way it was going, I was thinking I wasn't going to get one because it's just always the sprint win and then starting P8, and you just can't make it forward from there. But luckily, my qualifying pace wasn't as strong this week, so I started a bit further back, and that, well, as you saw in the race, it was a bit chaotic, and that just kind of played into my hands. I'm not sure my race pace was actually that good. It took me a long time to catch up and overtake, and it was a real big struggle. So I felt like I had to work really hard for this one. Probably the biggest relief I've had ever crossing the line. Yeah, no, happy to pick up a feature win, especially at this track. So do the team proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Red Bull Ring, Red Bull win. Good point. Absolutely. You and I have chatted a little bit. I've talked with Graham about it too, and we mentioned it on broadcast. There's less pressure on you because you had a bad first round. It was recovery. So you were really just chipping away. You're looking to get points. You're looking to get that consistency. Now you're in this, and all of a sudden Diogo Pinto's come through the field and he's behind you. That was a championship battle drive right there, wasn't it? Now you're looking at this very differently now, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, Diogo was absolutely flying. I've not seen pace like that in this car. So yeah, hats off to him. He was insanely fast, and that's why it was for me such a struggle to hold him off, because I could just tell he had so much confidence in the car, so much feeling and grip, or feeling for the grip. So yeah, it was really hard to hold him off. But yeah, honestly, even if I'm last in the championship, I'll still have the same pressure because I put pressure on myself. That's
Fair.
always going to be the way it is. So yeah, nothing changes on that front, luckily, no matter what. But yeah, it's obviously in the situation, it was a pretty intense fight, and I was aware of that.
Yeah, well, just from my perspective, it seemed like you were battling a little harder for it today because it's points that matter. Great job. Look, it's been great to see the recovery. It's hopefully something we see a little bit more of.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Absolutely, 2 weeks' time as we're joined now. Diogo Pinto, who, look, you're phenomenal in a Porsche Cup car. I'm going to call you out. You're not the best at camera placement, but that's a heck of a drive today. 14th, not your best qualifying, and still you managed to come out with a second in the feature.
Yeah, it was quite a tough race. My hot lap pace was quite nice. I just streaked away right in the last corner. I think I was on for mid 5, high 5, so could have maybe been pole, but that's how it is. Sprint race was not great. I made some mistakes. I think there was a chance there I could have gotten P8, but I'm quite happy with the main race. It was a hard race. I think maybe with better luck I could have gotten Sebastian at the end, but it was a really nice fight with a lot of respect and hopefully some more to come.
What's changed for you this year? Because, I mean, look, crazily enough, you've had, this is your third place, but it's only your second in a feature race. Rookie last year, you were quick, but not this quick. What's been the biggest change for you?
I would say some things like obviously the car changed. Some top guys dropped out of the series, and I think just overall I got quicker. I got like smarter in the races. I fixed some of my issues, and this year I'm where I want to be, and I'm fighting for the championship.
Yeah, and I know that last year as well, just talking to some of the other drivers, they said that the pace was there, but as a rookie, you were almost too aggressive. This year, it seems like consistency is there. Today, especially, a lot of the top guys made mistakes, and you were able to get through it. I mean, is it also a change of mentality in the race itself, not just the pace?
I would say in some situations, you need to know when to back out and when to go for moves. Today, especially, I had to send it as hard as I could. I choked quali and sprints, things didn't go my way. So in the main race, I knew I had to gain points. So I just took my chances and moved up the positions.
Love it. Look, I think it's been phenomenal. I think today's drive, we're only halfway through the championship, but if we come to the end of the year and the table looks similar, today will be a standout. I mean, that's a great recovery of a situation that, Sebastian could have hauled in a bunch of points on you, and you took
exactly.
the biggest chunk possible back. So that was very, very well done. Congratulations to you on the second place.
Yep, thank you.
And in third, the man we talked to earlier. What a day for you, Charlie. This is more what we would have expected. I don't want to take away and say, you're underperforming, young man. No, but you got to win your first win in the series today, and a podium as well, and looked very good on track the whole time. So you must be pretty pleased.
Yeah, happy to survive that second race, actually. That was pretty hectic.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I was, trying to keep it on the track, and yeah, pretty amazed I actually managed to finish that with all the fighting going on.
Yeah, well, 3 straight podiums if you go back to Silverstone as well, and certainly pace is one thing, but attacking is another. It seems like today there was some unfortunate circumstances. Talk through the start as well, because you were 8th place on the reverse grid. Zach goes off in front, chaos ensues. Sebastian barely makes it around it. Max Benecke spins. Where were you in all of that? Because that's a split-second decision that could have killed the entire weekend right there.
Yeah, so I actually had a really good start. Off the line was alright, it was pretty even, but got into 10-1 and I think made up 2 positions, one on Kevin and one on Zach, unfortunately, for Zach. But yeah, and I was going to try and make a move. I wanted to see how the car was, because in practice we had really bad, just the fronts would just die pretty much in the feature when you're behind people. So tried to make a move early on, it didn't really work out, and then from then on I was just understeering a lot. But yeah, managed to work in the end.
It did indeed. A double podium today. That's awesome for your championship. This is, I think, the most competitive year we've ever had, and I think you're right there in it, just like everybody else. I think if you're in the top 10 right now, it's looking pretty good, and hopefully we'll talk to you again in a similar situation in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, see you guys.
Yeah, and Paul, yeah, I think this is... It's awesome. I think Diogo has been remarkable today to recover as he did. That can't go understated. Sebastian has another great weekend. This is what I want to see. Look at that points championships table. This is looking spicy right now.
Oh, it's times like these that I'm so glad that I get to commentate on this series. It's absolutely sensational. Diogo Pinto, though, all of that has actually pulled out a gap over second place. It was Zach Campbell going into this round. Now 38-point gap over himself and Sebastian Job, with Kevin Ellis Jr. in and around there with 40 points behind. You look at some of those. Cooper Webster is in 7th place. Okay, he's not really in the championship fight, but he's the best of the rookies out there. Charlie Collins bringing himself into this championship contention, and Jamie Fluke still not out of a shot of this one, that is for sure. I do want to say, even though he didn't finish on the podium and he led most of the race, a real breakout performance by Julien Sonnen. Absolutely, the pressure he must have been under with Sebastian Job and everybody else behind. A really mature drive. I mean, he's in 18th place right now, that was really good.
Well, before we jump on to the next race, which is in my native land, there's the lovely Casino. I don't know who I would bet on in this series right now, the way things are going. It's all over the place, but Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. I just wanted to point out Matty Cipolla. 2 races ago, he had negative points due to penalties, and now he's up in 17th in the championship. What a great turnaround from him.
Certainly is. So make sure you join us 2 weeks' time. The drivers and I think ourselves need to recover from that one, and gladly we have got a week off next week. But 2 weeks' time, April the 9th, make sure you join us at Circuit Villeneuve for round number 6, the second half of the championship here. And wow, I don't know how we're going to fit all of the highlights on here of today, but that was some absolutely, truly sensational racing here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. And well, do make sure that you join us next time out, April the 9th, for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. But from myself, Paul Smith, and from Matt Trivett saying a kiss, it's goodbye.